cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. Black and white.
Find someone new. Maybe Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Crest Autosport TV and NXTGEN Racing TV on Facebook. This is the NXTGEN Racing MX-5 Cup. Welcome back, everyone, and we are into the fourth quarter of this championship. Round 10 of 12, coming to you here from Interlagos in Brazil. We know as Interlagos, but the official name of the circuit, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. My name is Alex Everett, and alongside me today in the comms box, it is Paul Walsh, who, by the way, thank you very much for covering last week's event, Paul. Great job indeed. But the Dream Team's back together this week.
Oh, indeed, Alex. It wasn't the same without you, although thank you for the compliment. I tried my best, but yeah, back with yourself in the commentary box, and it's so nice to be here once again. The two of us back at it, and well, we've got a cracking round ahead of us today, Interlagos, and what a different circuit compared to Zandvoort last time out.
Absolutely. Both feature in the Formula One Championship, but yeah, what in particular makes these tracks so different? I mean, we're gonna see quite a different challenge tonight compared to what's remaining left in the season.
Oh, indeed. I think really with this circuit today, it's all about, well, we're hearing rumours there's going to be a lot of full throttle action, but on top of that, it's the case that this circuit has some rather nasty, if I can get my words out, elevation changes, whether it be downhill or uphill, and it's particularly the uphill ones where drivers will need to be on the power as soon as possible, and that run from the final corner all the way onto the start-finish straight, compared to Zandvoort, which, no disrespect, was pretty flat and uninteresting from an elevation perspective, unless you're in the modern F1 equivalent, where it's all banked now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what a great classic circuit we're at today. It was redesigned in 1989. I remember driving this track on R-Factor, the old track, as it were. It used to be 4.893 miles long, and it was a circuit that just looped in and out of the standard shape you can see the circuit in now, but it was a much longer circuit. The more simplified circuit as it is now is iconic with many big racing series in Brazil, particularly the Brazilian Stock Car Series, TCR South America as well, and of course Formula One's visit here. Iconic races over the years include when Ayrton Senna drove to victory for the first time at this circuit with only one gear in use for the remainder of the race, and he came home exhausted and collapsed on his cooling down lap. And of course we had the infamous "Is that Glock?" moment between Timo Glock, obviously, Lewis Hamilton and Felipe Massa. We had the comeback from Sebastian Vettel in the early 10s decade. And of course we had Jenson Button come through for his iconic championship win on this circuit. It's very much a circuit that features towards the end of the season, and it features at the end of this season as well, Paul. This is probably the last of the I'm going to call it non-complicated circuits, because we're venturing into two very tricky tracks coming up for the final two rounds.
Oh, indeed. I mean, we're here today at a classic circuit, and a circuit that most of our drivers will remember, but as we can see from the calendar there, after this, it's the case that our final two rounds, which I won't call out too much, but one being a street circuit, which has those walls coming thick and fast, and then the final circuit, well, it's the mother of all circuits, really, and the one that you either love or you hate, but it will take you all the way the distance, and it will push you every inch of the way. But over to you, Alex, to run us through that schedule.
Yeah, well, we started off all them months ago at round one of Silverstone National Circuit. Then we ventured up north to Scotland to the then new Knockhill Circuit. Red Bull Ring featured round three of the championship. What a round that was, with plenty of high-speed action like what we're going to get tonight. But then the twisty Circuit Gilles Villeneuve Circuit in Canada for round four of the championship. Then we ventured south to Florida State for the Daytona Road Course of round five. Over the Pacific and into the Southern Hemisphere for the Bathurst Circuit in Australia on the 17th of January to see us out for the first half of the season. The second half of the season started off at Monza in Italy. What a round that was. Very dramatic indeed. And then Snetterton for round eight, where we saw pretty much half of that meeting was run under caution. Full course yellow flag conditions, or safety car procedures, as we Brits know it as. But round 9 last week, not on the 14th of Feb, but last week, it was an interesting round indeed. No short of drama as usual, but today we're here at Interlagos, and as we mentioned, it's probably going to be the less technical. It's going to be the least technical of the final three rounds here. We've got the street circuit of Long Beach coming up next to start us off in the month of March. And the iconic street circuit, home of the Long Beach Grand Prix, hosted in Formula One years and years ago, now hosted and very famous with the IndyCar series. But the final round of the championship, behemoth of all circuits, the Nürburgring VLN layout, and it's going to be a 2-hour endurance as opposed to the double sprint and one feature race format that we have in all other 11 rounds this season. And the 2-hour endurance also means double points. So it's getting to the nitty-gritty part of the season, but it's not going to be all tied up so easy so early, as the double points final round is crucial, and you've only got one chance at it, with it being just one 2-hour race at the end here, Paul.
Oh, indeed. And that's the thing as well now. Now that we are in that final quarter, every point is critical. Whether you're the championship leader looking to try and hold on to your championship come the very end, alternatively at the other end of the spectrum, you're given that championship pursuit and trying to gain a couple more places or even go for the overall win when all is said and done. Now, it really is the case that you make one mistake, that could be championship defining. I mean, we've said it all the way through the season. There have been moments, there's been drama, which could be championship defining, but now we really begin to feel that impact. And our drivers will be very, very cognizant of that. They'll know now that everything is now starting to be on the line, and this is the last circuit where really you can make a mistake and probably get away with it. The 2 rounds after this, one mistake could see your race in tatters.
Absolutely spot on there, Paul. But speaking of championships and points, these are the conditions of the championships coming into tonight's round. So we have 3 categories to watch in these races. The drivers labelled with their number backgrounds in black are pro category drivers, and that championship is headed by Mikey Doble at the moment, and he is ahead of Adam Delmont. Those two have pretty much been first, second, and Lee Holmes in third. They've pretty much been first, second, and third for most of the championship. But when drop rounds get implemented after round 11, it might shuffle it up a little bit. But for the time being, there's just 75 points between the top 3 there. 4th place taken up by Deegan Fairclough. He has been very, very quick indeed this season, but points have eluded him sometimes, and he is struggling to get it into the top 3. But let's see how he gets on in these final 3 races of the championship. Jamie Dury, our league host, in 5th position, with Nick Clibbons in 6th position. He's had a good charge through the order as the season has gone by. Pete Newman been very quick this season, an impressive 7th place for him at the moment. Ben Bennyworth in 8th place, nice consistent driving for him as it has been, with Sam Smith in 9th position. And rounding off the top 10 is Ollie Peters, and he is being threatened by the 11th place holder, Leah Mcnealy, who has a stunning record since he entered the championship late, granted, but a stunning record in this championship, who puts himself into 11th place and could well see himself into the top 10 upon the conclusion of tonight, as Ollie Peters is not racing tonight, so we'll see how he gets on. But Paul's going to show you through the Pro-Am category standings heading into tonight.
So in the second of our 3 classes, we can see it's the case that Lee Horne continues to lead on 641 points here, having another great round at Zandvoort and really getting some solid points on the board, particularly in the final race of round number 9. However, Nigel Stock holding on to P2 currently. Stock racing with Spectre there, but it is the case he is in a very close contest with Craig Cockrell for P2 and really being the best of the rest outside of Lee Horne, with Craig Cockrell there 492 points versus Stock's 522, a 30-point gap, but could it turn tonight? Outside the top 3, John Burnham and Glenn Humberstone separated by 36 points there, 436 to 400, with Wayne Douglas in 6th place, 379. The 3 drivers there really having had great races, and all 3 of them, I think, due a major result, but will they be able to achieve it tonight at Interlagos? Mark Oliver there, P7 on 364, and staying in that pursuit of a top 5 finish overall. William Silverstone, Rob McGregor and Callum Jenkins completing our top 10, and Rob McGregor in particular, the one name, keep your eyes on, ladies and gentlemen, he is due some good luck soon. If you want a driver who literally you could put the title bad luck between his first name and his last name, it's Rob McGregor, as we head over to the AM standings as well, Alex.
The AM category standings, as we have to reset our overlay, as it's messed up as we progressed on to the next session. So refresh here, and we'll have the AM category standings on the screen very shortly. Not playing ball at the moment, so we'll have to come back to that. We'll come back to the AM category standings a little bit later on as our overlay catches it up with itself. But as the drivers head out onto the circuit to get themselves warmed up and ready for this qualifying session, a little bit more about the circuit, and I'm sure myself and Paul are going to give you some exceptional facts about this circuit, legendary circuit in worldwide motorsports. The name Interlagos comes from the translation of in between lakes, and it sits in between 2 lakes, one to the east called the, I have to get this right, Represa de Guaraparina, And we've also got the lake to the east, which is a lot easier to pronounce, the Represa Billings. And this circuit is in the southwest region of Sao Paulo City and 1,000 kilometers south of the capital of Brasilia. Got any good facts about this circuit for us, Paul?
Not too many good facts, to be honest, compared to the trivia that you can deliver, Alex. I must be honest with you. The one thing I really do know about this circuit is the fact that, of course, the opening series, of course, the first three, named the Senna S in honour of Ayrton Senna, the local hero, of course. And it is the case that around this circuit, well, we do have some rather odd track limits, do we not?
We do. We're seeing a couple of drivers just then peering over the white line on entrance to one of the final corners on the circuit here, and they are allowed to. The track limits in this series are whatever the track limits that iRacing allows you. There is no slowdown penalty for impeding the white line there, and we're seeing a lot of drivers down this back straight trying to get people out of their slipstream or staying in other people's slipstream themselves. Of course, that slipstream is going to come in very, very important for this start-finish stretch here, Paul, because it's very steep going up that hill, and even on iRacing, even on what's effectively a computer game like this, my word, it is real steep, and you do find yourself looking up very sharply with your neck stretched out to look up the hill.
Oh, you do indeed, and it's one of the biggest elevation changes that we have on the calendar outside of our final round, and really it is the case that around here we're going to be seeing a lot of our drivers having to work very hard with regards to nailing getting on the throttle as early as possible, as we see Deegan Fairclough here making his way across that timeline to, I think, go on to his first flying lap of this session. And as he comes on down into turn number one, we'll go into that track guide. It's going into turn one, going down the gearbox here and rolling the car across the apex, bouncing off the apex curve there and down through the centre S2 and into left-hand at turn number 3 here, which has a dedicated name. I can't quite remember it, as he rolls on through and now makes his way down the straight here. Known as the Reproposta, it connects Sector 1 and Sector 2 in the Formula 1 sectors, the 3 sectors. And as he comes down here in towards the braking zone for turn number 4, looking into that 100-metre board on his right-hand side and now coming down the gearbox and tossing the car into the apex. So you can see the way the road falls away from off camber there, and that means that drivers can get a little bit too aggressive with those track limits as he rolls through turn 5 and now up the hill through turn 6. But notice now as he goes uphill, we've got the long run through the double right of 6 and 7 here. He'll turn in nice and late for 6-6. What he wants to do, he wants to double apex this and get as nice and tight as possible to the apex of 7, which he does admirably. Now braking into turn 8. No brake marker for turn 8. That's one of the oddest things about turn 8. No brake markers whatsoever. You've got to do it based on memory and muscle memory. And as he rolls down through 9 right now, rolling the car over that apex curb before flying up towards turn 10, up towards the hairpin here, the tightest and slowest corner of the circuit, braking down. But you can see they're having to snap the rear of the car loose as he downshifts on braking and then get back on the throttle as soon as he clears the apex, relying on the camber of the road to push through, and now to through turn number 11 here, flat out for 11, and as he rolls the car down towards Juncal corner here at turn number 12, getting on the brakes and using the full width of the track limits there to get a nice tight entry in and getting on the throttle, but getting it a little bit wrong there in fact, and unsettling the car on the curb. And whilst it won't look like much right now, trust me when I say that's about 1 to 2 miles an hour taking out the car, and in the long run uphill through 12, through 13 and 14, and now he's only got one more corner, turn 15 here, the left-hander before the pit, as he goes past the pit lane entry, and they all want to cut as much of this as possible. He's going to cross the line. You can see Deegan Fairclough staying to the right here. He knows it's not a good lap because of that mistake he made, and he's got to go again. If a driver's on a good lap, you'll see them pull over towards the pit wall to shorten the run to the timing line.
Excellent lap. Taught to you by Paul Walsh himself, the master of the track guide. But yeah, I think that invalid lap from Fairclough actually came coming out of turn 4, which is the corner we're approaching now. I could see on the map his name turned red, which usually means off track. So that might have been where it happened for Deegan, but you'll get another crack at the whip here. He's got 10 minutes left in qualifying, granted, but it is our championship leader of the pro category at the top of the standings right here, right now. Mikey Doble, what a season he's having. I mean, it's tailed off a little bit as the second half of the season has gone by. It's gotten very competitive in the pro category, but he does what he does. He just gets points, and gets points every single round, and that's what makes him kind of a very, well, not kind of, but there's no kind of about it, but a very worthy champion. Reminds me of Andy Prio in some ways. I don't know if you're familiar with him much, Paul, but yeah, someone who didn't necessarily need a lot of wins to win championships.
No, it's very true. And to be fair, it reminds me in a way of, well, albeit a bit of a controversial character in Formula One, but to be fair, we are at the home circuit of just as controversial characters, you could argue. The two of them occupying the same space in the championship, and that's Alain Prost, who in the end really being the professor and knowing you only need to do a certain amount to win a championship. You don't need to win every race. Much like, as you say, Andy Priaulx there, and Andy Priaulx indeed really the master of the art of I don't need every win, I just need a consistent set of points finishes. And that's what some drivers go for. And it's been really telling with Mikey Doble ever since we moved into the second half of the season. He's in a bit of a scramble there with the 117 car, who just wants to come on through, and the number 117 car being Rob McGregor there. A bit of a miscommunication between the two of them. But I've noticed that Mikey Doble's behaviour has become less about trying to get the wins. It's more about just trying to get that car to the end of the races. And if he can finish in the top 3 or the top 5 in the Pro class, he's happily taken that result.
Absolutely, absolutely. But someone who has been able to pick up wins this season, many of them, as he's had a particularly bad lap on his opener, but he has got his teammate ahead of him to help him out on this next lap. Leah Mcnealy has won 9 out of 12 races in his tenure this season. He started off at Bathurst. He raced at Monza, Snetterton and Zandvoort as well, of course, but he has only not won 3 races of the 12 that he's taken part in. Just truly incredible from himself, as he's following his teammate Will Chadwick. And Chadwick is actually the person who told me before that this session had kicked off that these drivers are actually on this circuit going to be on 100% throttle for about 80% of this lap. It's just purely incredible, because simply these corners are quite sweeping for these cars, so you're on the brakes and then you're off them straight away and onto full throttle. You want to get plenty of momentum as you head down these hills and up these hills on this very, very undulating circuit. And there's been an instance on the back straight here. I think that was Mikey Doble actually, as he reverts to the pits. But drivers crossing the line now. Let's see how they all get on. Nick Clivins takes into 3rd place. Liam McNealy gets into 1st place with Maurice Henry. We haven't seen him for a little while. He jumps into 2nd place. But it is the top spot for Liam McNealy. More than half a second clear. What a lap from this superb driver here, Paul.
Oh, indeed. And that goes to show you when you know the circuit well, plus also you've got the assistance of your teammate to give you that draft down the straight and through the acceleration zones. And, well, that's the key thing as well. And I think we're going to see a lot of that for the rest of this qualifying session, where you can see now the pack that's formed. If you look on that circuit map, ladies and gentlemen, on the right side of your screen, you can see that run of cars, that John Higgins train, as he's currently leading them all through the run up towards turns 6 and 7. And we've got the best part of, I want to say, at least 10 cars there. And just for those wondering, if you're wondering why you can see 2 John Higgins in the timing board on the left-hand side, you're not drunk, you haven't been drinking. It's Monday, by the way, you shouldn't be drinking. It is the case that we have 2 John Higgins, and we're going to differentiate between them. If you're looking for the new John Higgins, that is John Higgins, and he's in the number 7 car, and then we have the original, or the OG John Higgins, in the number 8 car.
OG. Yes, no drinking, kids, no drinking. Definitely not on a school night. But yeah, 2 John Higgins. We'll try and differentiate them as best as we can. I joked before the broadcast started that we should call John Higgins Double J, like Double D from Ed, Edd and Eddy. But I digress. We'll press on with the night as we means to go on. But going very wide there is the OG John Higgins in a new livery this week. Teaming up with Rob McGregor, I believe, for MSR Racing. So it'll be good to see how them two get along in tonight's racing. Let's see where Rob McGregor is on track. He's not too far behind John Higgins, actually, as John pulls off into the pits there. Rob McGregor will come across the line. Now, this is a driver that has been very, very, very well paced this season in the Pro-Am category. A little bit of bad luck in the last few races, but has shown great promise this season, as it's another invalidated lap for him, so we'll have to come back to him later on to see how he gets on. But the top 8 at the moment taken up by 8 pro category drivers, one of them being Adam Delmont, 2nd in the championship, but 8th in category here, just 1/1000th behind Deegan Vergelof's time. So we'll see how this Pro-Am category get on. It's very, very spicy between these drivers indeed, as we're heading into this final part of the championship. But you alluded to it earlier, Paul. This is the last chance for a lot of drivers to get a nice wide sweeping circuit to get their elbows out, I suppose. Get away with a few mistakes like running wide and that sort of thing. That's going to end next week with the limitations of Long Beach walls on the side of the streets.
Oh, indeed, and really, I draw a reference. I don't know about yourself, Alex, or any of those viewing. If you've been watching the start of the GT America as part of the Fanatec World Tour quite recently, where they've taken the GT3s around the St. Petersburg circuit in Florida, where then the season opener, a number of drivers have really tried to get those elbows out, and in the end, drivers are in the water. There's quite a bit of contact, and well, it's going to be the case at Long Beach next week. Anybody gets their elbows out, unless it is the briefest of bumps or it's on one of the straights, it's the case where we're going to be seeing incidents, and the stewards are not going to be too happy about that. And well, we are expecting here in Interlagos, as you say, Alex, it will be probably the last of the big open spaces where you can afford to go a little bit deep into the corner and not be finished. You can cut an apex and not end up clipping a wall, but then, well, Long Beach, that will turn everything upside down.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're heading into the final part of qualifying here. There's a lot of drivers heading towards the line right now, so we'll see who's at the head of them at the moment. I think it's Deegan Fairclough who's just crossed the line, stays 7th at the moment. No, he doesn't. He goes up to 3rd place. A little bit of a delayed reaction there as he's trying to break the slipstream of Maurice Henry behind him. But up to 3rd place goes Deegan. Oh, I'm getting very much out of shape there. That might compromise the lap of the 2 drivers behind. And they were Maurice Henry and the 117 car Rob McGregor. Their laps might have been a little bit compromised there going through the Senna S, but they might get another crack at it as there's enough time to cross the line and get another banker lap in. Back here we have got the Fordzella drivers teaming up together. At the head of them is Leah Mcnealy. He's probably thought, you know what, that's a good enough lap. 151.1, which is an astonishing time, quicker than anything that we saw in practice. And he is now giving his teammate William Chadwick the tow. William Chadwick has not had the best of starts to this season. He's had 2 podium finishes, but no wins yet. So could tonight be the night for him? We will find out. But he's 15th in the standings at the moment. He might well be able to creep into that top 10 upon the conclusion of this lap, if he can tie it all together. Meanwhile, Pete Newman puts himself into 5th place. Big, strong lap there from the Pure Sims driver. Fantastic indeed. Let's see who else is out on track. There's just a big gaggle of cars going through the infield here, Paul, isn't there?
Oh, indeed, and it is the case. Everybody right now trying to set themselves up well for that final qualifying. They only get one more. You can see it here already. Deegan Fairclough and Maurice Henry tucking in. Fairclough deciding he doesn't want to go, but then you've got a Fordzilla car that's having it. Well, both the Fordzillas coming through. They're both on a lap, and Maurice Henry being right there. And well, it's the case that I think Leah Mcnealy's not going to be too happy about that, and William Chadwick as well as they come on through. That'll mean they'll have to do it all on the final lap. As you see the mad scramble now, it's almost as if you're watching a race here. But I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, it is the qualifying session. We've got more to watch out for in the race, but they're all trying to get into a line now as they go onto that final lap, and Maurice Henry will have a double tow here. But I think some drivers, William Mcnealy for example, could afford just to back out as soon as he crosses that line and play deception. William Chadwick does improve, however, and goes P2 provisional for Thames.
You know what, Liam McNealy did what he had to do there for his teammate there. Liam McNealy was catching up rapidly to Deegan Fairclough, who, to be fair, got out of the way, but Maurice Henry stayed on the racing line, and Liam just sort of gave him a nudge to sort of say, well, get out the way, I'm towing my teammate here, and that actually helped out William Chadwick a huge amount, getting the 2 Fordzilla cars into the top 2 steps on the grid, and they're moving out of everyone's way as they're all just carrying on at the front here. Deegan Fairclough heads the pack at the moment. Yet again, he's heading it, not getting a slipstream. We've also got the number 8 car there of John Higgins and Maurice Henry there, who has missed out by the looks of it. He won't be able to improve his times, but to be fair, 3rd place is pretty decent from him. John Higgins has got a good draft here. He might be able to improve from 9th here if he's got the draft of Deegan Fairclough ahead of him. And just behind him, he has got Adam Delmont, who will definitely want better than 10th, as he is fighting with the likes of Lee Holmes in 7th and Mikey Doble in 5th for the championship, remember. And he's also can't write off Deegan Fairclough, who is a fair few positions down in the championship, but he, with drop rounds to play, he might well be able to creep back up the order once those drop rounds are implemented after round 11 next week. And of course the checkered flag out now, so there's a lot of drivers heading their way to the start-finish line to complete their laps. Down in 18th place, we've got Sam Smith here. He'll complete a lap here for Simtech Racing Red. And across the line we'll go see if he improves. 18th at the moment. He's top 10 in the championship, so he'll definitely want better. Across the line he goes. and he doesn't improve. We have also got David Whitehouse, our AM Championship leader. We promised to go through the championship standings a little bit later on. He crosses the line. John Higgins puts himself into 6th place from the conclusion of that lap. So a good job from him on that final lap there. Nigel Stock, 2nd in the Pro-Am category. Can he improve his lap? 16th at the moment for Stock. And there are a few other drivers coming through. We've got John Burnham, who rather annoyingly has decided to switch from an Alpine livery, which is on our overlay here, to the much more recent McLaren livery. It's implemented to the MX-5 here. But John Burnham will come across the line. He is too fighting for the Pro-Am category championship. 4th at the moment, 200 points behind Lee Horne. He's got some work to do, but let's see how he gets on tonight. He stays 20th on the conclusion of that lap. We've also got Matthew Addy and Rob McGrath. No, it's Pete Newman.
Pete Newman, I think.
Excuse me. Yes, Pete Newman to come across the line. Can Pete Newman make something of this? These guys are staying out for a reason. It's either to get extra practice in, or it's to improve their position. Pete Newman peels off into the pits. Matt Addy completes his time, and it's 21st for him at the moment. So there we go. Qualifying is complete. It's Leah Mcnealy, top of the pile yet again, Paul.
Indeed. Now, this time he's got his teammate, William Chadwick, alongside him. And this is the first encounter, really, whereby the pair of them will be on that front row. And I think for Fordzilla, they'll be thinking now, how do they get those two cars to have a good start and pull away at the start and just simply try to break the toe? Because the toe is going to be very important here with the fact that so much of the lap is full throttle. And you can imagine if they can go off into the distance and get an advantage of 1.5 to 2 seconds, they may just not be catchable. And that's what everybody now in the Pro class will be aware of. They will not want to see the leaders break away.
Absolutely. And speaking of the Pro-Am category, congratulations to Matt Emmons, who I think got his first pole position in category, the host of the Wednesday night GT3 League on Next Gen Racing. A big congratulations to Matt for getting his pole position for the first time in the series, I believe. 11th place overall as well, so very good job indeed. But upon the conclusion of this session, we will give you the grid for the opening race of the night. But to live up our promise, we'll give you the AM category championship standings. It's a bit random, I know, but we didn't do them earlier. But the AM category standings, and he's going to cut us off again. David Whitehouse at the top with Paul Scott in 2nd and Mark Arrowsmith in 3rd. They're the main drivers taking part in the AM category. But we are going to go through the grid for this opening race of the night. We have got Leah Mcnealy on pole with William Chadwick, his teammate, alongside him. Maurice Henry in 3rd position with Deegan Fairclough in 4th position. Championship leader Pro-Am category, Mikey Doble in 5th with John Higgins. A late lap for him, but puts it in 6th position. Pete Newman in 7th with Lee Holmes, 3rd in the championship in 8th. Nick Clibbins 9th with Adam Delmont, who is 2nd in the championship, is in 10th. Matt Emmons getting his first pole position at the Pro-Am category, of course, in 11th overall. Craig Cockrell alongside in 12th. A good round for him last time out at Zandvoort. Jamie Dory in 13th place, same as his number, with Dave Whitehouse first of the AM category drivers in the championship and on the grid in 14th. Lee Horne in 15th with Nigel Stock in 16th place, both challenging for the Pro-Am championship on the same row, the 8th row. Double J John Higgins is in 17th position with 18th place going to Sam Smith. Rob McGregor in 19th with John Burnham 20th, Matthew Addy 21st, Mark Oliver 22nd, Paul Scott 2nd of the AMs in 23rd, and the safety car is in 24th. And of course our safety car is a customised one for these events. And will we see it or not? It remains to be seen. But we are about to go soon for this 10th round of the championship here at Interlagos. 3 rounds to go, 9 races to go. And it's going to be an absolute thriller as we see the drivers line up on the grid, ready for this race to start. Paul, very quickly, who's your money on?
My money's going to Leah Mcnealy. If he's leading come at the end of the first lap, I think he's going to be the one to take the win away.
I think that's a very, very sensible bet there for you, Paul. We'll see how we get on. A lot can happen. A lot does happen in this MX-5 series. We'll see if Leah Mcnealy can dominate things again as the lights are about to switch on. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And away we go here at Interlagos, and it's a very good start for Maurice Henry. Not such a good start for William Chadwick, but coming across to try and get some slipstream straight away is Maurice Henry. As breaking away is Leah Mcnealy as we head into turn 1. Guarding the inside for his teammate is William Chadwick as we head through turns 1 and 2. Already a position swap between Pete Newman and John Higgins back here. As Pete Newman slips it sideways, so does Adam Delmont. And so, I think that's actually Nick Clibbens, sorry. They're sent down the order, and there's a big instant up ahead as well. Lee Horne is involved, Sam Smith is involved, Rob McGregor was involved as well. But all drivers are breaking away, and the safety car is out, I believe. The safety car is out. He has left the pits, and he's heading out on track right now to gather things up. And he'll wait for the drivers to come back around, but they can still go racing until the end of the lap. Isn't that right, Paul?
Yeah, that is correct, and I think Matt Emmons was also involved in that, but whilst the racing's going on, Mikey Doble here battling with John Higgins and Maurice Henry, and Maurice Henry just falling down the order like a stone early on. I think Deegan Fairclough getting ahead of him, but it's going to be Maurice Henry goes to the move into turn 8 here. Lovely distant camera shot, giving a sense of perspective as they roll them down into 9, but Mikey Doble not giving this up, and I think he knows all he's got to do is hold position all the way round to the end of the lap, and then they will pick up the safety car. But as they make the way now into turn number 10, Deegan Fairclough getting a strong start, and to be fair, Maurice Henry, I think right now, doesn't know which way to look, whether ahead of him to go after Mikey Doble or behind him to worry about John Higgins as they make the way down for 11 and head up to a Junkel corner at turn number 12 here. But right now, as they make the way in, it is the case that our top two of Leah Mcnealy and William Chadwick are gradually sauntering off into the distance as they all roll out to turn at number 12. A difficult instant on the opening couple of corners. I think a number of drivers getting caught out by cold tyres, but now everybody's got their tyre temperatures up to bear, and it is the case. We are really going race now. Everyone will feel a lot more comfortable as Adam Delmont has just taken Lee Holmes for P7 briefly, but our top two here as they come across the line at the end of lap 1, Leah Mcnealy leading ahead of William Chadwick, and the gap between the two of them only 700ths of the safety car peacefully waiting, and I think the safety car might have actually parked up. I don't think it's going to be coming out.
Yeah, I think so. I think we are. We're still green flag racing, so false alarm there. We are still going, and these two are checking out at the moment. They'll be very pleased about that. Fordzilla Racing are off and away with Leah Mcnealy heading Will Chadwick, his teammate, and it's all to be done for these guys from third place downward. Deegan Fairclough has got to really put the hammer down, work together almost with Mikey Doble to try and get into the higher positions there. Lee Holmes versus Adam Delmont. These two are second and third in the championship, but a big simple move there from Lee Holmes. Just easy pickings for him to take 7th place, but they drop off a little bit from the cars ahead, but they might be able to reel them back in on this infield here. We'll see how they get on as the lap progresses. Pro-Am category, we have got Greg Cockrell. They're battling with Jamie Dory. Lets him go. It's not his fight. He is first in category in the Pro-Ams, and he's looking to get his championship points up to try and contend more with Nigel Stock and Lee Horne as the season comes to a tail. Nigel Stock right behind in second place here. David Whitehouse first of the AM category, 13th overall. But sadly, a couple of drivers fell casualty to the instant at the start of the race. One of them was Matt Emmons, who was pole in the Pro-Am category. Rob McGregor was also involved, as was championship leader Lee Horne. So a lot of drivers getting involved in that instant early on in that race. It was a false alarm regarding the safety car, but we are still green flag racing at the moment. But a big lap here from Deegan Fairclough, it seems, as he has caught back up with the Fordzilla cars, Paul.
Oh, indeed, and Deegan Fairclough really pushing on as we ride on board the front here, Deegan Fairclough, and I think Chadwick and Mcnealy have not been able to make the breakaway that they wanted. So as is on now, Fairclough coming on very strong here as they make their way across that timeline. You can see Chadwick going defensive, but look at Mikey Doble here peeling out. And I think what Fairclough and Mikey Doble got to do is Fairclough's going to try and go all the way around the outside to inside into 2. There's a brief tap between the two cars. I think there was a bit of a latency bump as well, which has caused William Chadwick to be knocked out of position. Fairclough gains the place, and Mikey Doble capitalising here, going all the way around the outside. And a bit further back, we do have Lee Holmes and John Higgins battling for P6 right now, with Maurice Henry really pulling along Lee Holmes. They come down, it's going to be 3 wide down the Repro Apostle straight here. Maurice Henry on your right, Lee Holmes in the middle, and John Higgins on the outside. Higgins backs out, Maurice Henry takes the initiative, and you can see there Lee Holmes just parking the car in the middle of the road and essentially saying to Higgins, look, you're not coming through. And Maurice Henry stumbling out the exit of turn 4 there. He's got no speed up the hill as they make the way out through 6 and 7 right now. It's going to be side by side again, but then we can see it's the case that Higgins trying to squeezes well in. He gets the run into 6 and 7. And meanwhile, Adam Delmont in P8 and the Excite machine just waiting, watching like a hawk for when he can pick up the scraps as they make the way down for 8 right now. And as they come through the right-hander, well, I think this is all going to kick off again by the time they come around through turn number 12. They've settled down for now in the infield section, but my goodness, it is the case. You can have some great side-by-side racing. Those guys showing it. And meanwhile, up front now, Leah Mcnealy, will he be worried about the fact he no longer has his teammate acting as rear gunner, as we see John Higgins there with a bit of a spin. What's happened here, Alex?
Yeah, heading into the infield here. Gone a bit wide, going through the corner there. And then into the corner we go. Was there a little bit of contact? There was from the 69 car of Mark Oliver. It turns around John Higgins. And that sends him back a lot of positions to 20th, unfortunately. But he will carry on with the race, and he'll be able to pick up points. That's something you can pick up from this race, but it might be one for the stewards to look at later. Meanwhile, on the back straight here, on the front straight, the main straight, whatever you want to call it, we have got Leah Mcnealy, who gained a little bit ahead of Deegan Fairclough on that lap in the infield and is able to keep him safe in the lead for the time being. But a dive on the inside from William Chadwick to the inside of Mikey Doble, who goes a little bit wide to cover the inside for the next corner, the centre S. And then around turn 3 will go. William Chadwick will be able to cover the inside on turn 3. Back into third place he goes. But they've dropped back a little bit from Deegan Fairclough, who has broken away along with Leah Mcnealy, with those two battling and slowing each other down. They have got all the work to do on the infield here. Can they catch up with the two drivers ahead who've already started squabbling? Deegan Fairclough had a very good run down the back straight there. As very wide goes Leah Mcnealy, trying to make the most out of getting out of that corner as fast as he can down the hill. As we mentioned, 80% of the track here is full throttle as we see the two drivers side by side. Fairclough can't surely go around the outside here to complete the move. It's going to be very difficult for him indeed. But to the braking zone we go. He's later on the brakes, but he's not going to be able to hang around the outside as Mikey Doble nearly takes out the rear right quarter panel of Deegan Fairclough. He's very close indeed, but he got away with it, and he's back into third place is Mikey Doble. But the front two still battling side by side. It's going to be a big opportunity here on the front straight for all of these drivers here, and we've also got from 5th downwards catching up, Paul.
Indeed, I think with the two leaders now battling, Deegan Fairclough's going to go for the move for the lead here, but I think this is a little bit of a premature move. He's going to go very deep. He understeers wide out of 12, and now this is going to cause a huge slipstream effect. You can see Fairclough's just got no pace uphill, and he's squeezing Mcnealy there onto the apex of turn 13 as they roll him through the left hand, and now they're side by side all the way through. And I think Fairclough giving up the position there. He knows A, it was wrong, and B, he's now going back for the slipstream as they go on to another lap. And well, there's the top 4, and then behind them you've got Henry, you've got Higgins. They're all coming together. Up against the wall. There's a bit of contact on the rear of Mcnealy's car there, and Mikey Doble tucks on in, saying to Deegan Fairclough, well, if you want to come down on him, I'm going to be on the inside. But Deegan Fairclough's still there in P2, relentlessly pursuing the race leader, and Mikey Doble also now there, but he's got the pressure of William Chadwick behind him. And well, I have to imagine we've only just passed the half distance, and as they make the way down the Reproposta once again, well, I might have to revise my bet of it being Leah Mcnealy who runs away with this one, because they're just not stopping in the fighting.
Oh, it's great indeed, and William Chadwick takes to the outside of Mikey Doble here, but wide goes Deegan Fairclough. Oh dear, I'm getting Max Verstappen vibes about that, but it wasn't a move from Deegan Fairclough. But brilliant battling here. It's a 5-way battle now. Maurice Henry joins the battle. The back there in the black and red livery, and the contact from Fairclough. He sends off Mcnealy to the outside, and as does Chadwick. That sends him back down the order, and all big contact between him and Delmont. Mcnealy's able to keep it going, but he has got all the work to do. He was sent wide by Fairclough there, and he's dropped down to 6th position. He's got to get it back through the order. Plenty of time to do so, but a big moment in this race, Paul.
Indeed, that bit of contact there could really change the complexion. But now I guess one of the things that the Fordzilla guys will be happy about in a way is the fact they're no longer up the front having to battle for the position. Instead, they're the ones pursuing, and that's the thing here. We're seeing that the driver who's at the front is really in a horrible place as we look back. And to be fair, the foreman tried to come through, but Deegan Fairclough in the end just tapping the back of Leah Mcnealy, and I think he had nowhere to go other than into the back of the MX-5 in front of him. They all came together, and as we return to the live pictures now, it's for Mikey Doble to see if he can find a way to get into the lead as we look back from Dean Fairclough to Mikey Doble. Whether Doble can get into the lead and make the breakaway, or whether he just plays the patience game here. But then again, will everybody else behind be as patient as Doble goes to the outside here? Meanwhile, is the case that Higgins gets inside. They go almost 4-5 wide, and well, it's hard to see from that perspective, but they're all slicing and dicing, looking for the place. As they come down through 1 and 2, you can see on the physicality of Mikey Doble's car, he doesn't want to make contact. He's doing everything he can, but in return, it means the drives from P4 backwards. P4 to P8 are all closing up, as in the rear of the picture, we do have Adam Delmont and Lee Holmes constantly contesting one another, and meanwhile, Leah Mcnealy being pushed on by William Chadwick as they come down to turn 4. It's 3 wide once again. Dean Fairclough defends the inside. Maurice Henry goes all the way round the outside, and well, is it going to be a reverse Moses manoeuvre as Fairclough takes the wide line there, and Mikey Doble was going to come through on the inside of 5, but it puts him on the outside of 6-7 here as they run up the hill, and well, now as they go 2 by 2, hurrah, hurrah, up the hill, it is the case that P12 to P4 all squirming and battling for the lead as they make their way through turn 7 and into turn 8, all going to be as late as possible on the brakes here, and Dean Fairclough doing everything he can to keep back. Mikey Doble makes contact with Maurice Henry.
Oh, so close between all these drivers, and look at that. Look who's coming back through to get it back into 3rd place. It's Leah Mcnealy, right back ahead of Mikey Doble, who's bumped wide again. Oh, and up the inside goes Leah Mcnealy on Maurice Henry. Big move there to the inside of the hairpin, the slowest corner on the circuit. Look at all these goggles of cars here on the brilliant Interlagos circuit, battling for position here, and into the final corner we go. Deegan Fairclough has checked out a little bit here, but it might not be over. I don't think it's going to be over by a long shot. Here we go, the big crocodile of cars that heads up the hill here. It stretches as far as 9th place, taken up by Pete Newman at the moment, who had a sideways moment on the opening lap. He has put himself back into the opportunity of potentially getting up and battling for the top spot here, Paul. Fantastic effort from Newman.
Indeed, and 2 laps remain. We're on the penultimate lap as our drivers make their way down towards turn 1. Dean Fairclough defends him. Maurice Henry tucks inside, but going all the way round the outside, and that was very bold on the brakes. Liam Mcnealy, and further back there, you can see William Chadwick carving up the inside to outside here for the centre S. And as they roll them through turn number 3, you can see Mikey Doble there find himself once again on this outside line through 3, which he enjoys using to keep himself safe as they roll down the Reparaposta, and as they come charging down the straight this time, well, at the head of the pack, Liam Mcnealy giving everybody the toe on that inside line if they dare take a tight apex, and Dean Fairclough now sweeping out wide at the last possible moment here, holding Mcnealy, and then Mikey Doble still side-by-side with William Chadwick, but then Mikey Doble goes a bit wider. I think there was a tiny bit of door-to-door contact as they roll him through and up the hill towards turn number 6, but we've really got a 3-way battle for the lead, and then what is a 5-way battle for P4.
Oh, it's fantastic. This is. They're dropping back a little bit. Mikey Doble right behind William Chadwick, trying to get that position back. Only a lap and a half ago, Mikey Doble was battling for the top spot. Now it's taken back by Leah Mcnealy, who gets past Deegan Fairclough, who's trying to back it back up the inside, giving a few nudges to Mcnealy. There's been a couple of them from Fairclough today, as there's been a few there from Maurice Henry as well. My word, MX-5 racing, bumpy stuff is, and it's a testament to that today. But we have got a few laps to go in this race. It's not over just yet. Let's see how this materializes. Guarding the inside here is Leah Mcnealy. Takes to the outside. Oh, if Fairclough make contact again, and he spins. Mcnealy has spun on the final corner here.
Yeah, indeed. No, I think there might have been a little bit of play there with regards to trying to park it on the apex and take the pace out of everybody, because Mcnealy in the end just being sent off for a spin. And as we look back here, as they came down for 11, just watch the line Mcnealy takes it. And well, Maurice Henry also just coming in like an absolute bulldozer, but in the end he manages to avoid the contact. And I think Mcnealy didn't know where to put the car. He tried to slow the car down on apex, and it's Maurice Henry who's gained from it all as we go on to the final lap.
Oh, it's so close. Oh, and there's more contact. Mikey Doble has spun on turn 1 here. We'll take a replay of that to see what happened, but it's all happening here in this first race of the night. Heading into turn 1, Mikey Doble takes to the outside of William Chadwick. Breaking into the corner, John Higgins is taken to the inside of Chadwick. Oh, and it was Holmes who went into him with Fairclough on his inside as well. Fairclough is not going to be a very liked person at the end of this race, is he? He's been involved in pretty much any incident that's happened so far tonight. But it all rages on. Pete Newman's back up to 5th place. A brilliant comeback for him in this race. Adam Delmont is in 4th place, and I think he qualified 10th. I might be wrong about that, but
You're correct.
Yeah, from 10th, so good stuff from Delmont. But it's the top 3 are going to go at it for the remaining 2 laps of this race. Maurice Henry is the leader of this race, and we thought for one moment it was going to be Leah Mcnealy checking out. It could be someone completely, entirely different. I'm afraid, Paul, you've lost your money on this one as McNeely's way down the order, unfortunately, because he was hotting up to be a brilliant battle. More contact! More contact!
Yeah, even more contact. What was William Chadwick and Dean Fairclough coming together. It looks as though the 2 cars actually merged between one another. I think there might be some connectivity issues between the 2 drivers there. But as they make their way up the hill, this will be the final lap, and it's going to be Maurice Henry, who's 1 second ahead of the field right now as he makes his way towards the finish line. I think he'll be very happy to see a checkered flag waving this time he comes around. He's been through it all. They all have. And as they roll on through here, well, I may not have won the bet, Alex, but it is the case. I'll happily lose my money for this race. Maurice Henry, who comes on through, and as he rolls the car through the final corner, it will be his first win of this series, and he crosses the line, our overall winner, the Pro Class winner, by 8 tenths of a second ahead of Adam Delmont and Pete Newman, who came up right through the order in the end. John Higgins P4, Jamie Dorey P5, William Chadwick P6. Craig Cockrell takes the win in the Pro-Am class with a brilliant drive to P7 in the end for the Pro-Am driver. Fairclough P8, McNealy P9, and Nigel Stock P2 in the Pro-Am class, P10 overall, and then David Whitehouse coming home P11, our AM winner in the end after a bit and off going on to the final lap, but it was the case he brought the car back under control. But my goodness, what an opening race for tonight. And Will Zandvoort was quite dramatic in some respects, and that drama has not left us alone here at Interlagos.
Yeah, it's going to be one driver on the tip of the tongues of everyone coming out of that race. Shan't point names and pick fingers just yet, but yeah, that was quite a dramatic race indeed, as we've seen quite a few this season, but I don't think Maurice Henry or Adam Delmont or Pete Newman are going to care about that so much, as they've obtained top 3 places in this race. The Fordzilla team might be a little bit unhappy out of that one, but once we have got all drivers through, we'll conclude the results, provisional results, of course, of this race, because there are steward reviews after each race. They don't happen on the day, on the hour, like most races in real life do. These steward reports and steward meetings happen post-race, and the championship results get updated based on those turnouts. But we've got a few drivers still coming through to complete this race. Sam Smith is the last of the runners to come through. And yeah, what a race to start this night indeed. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a blueprint of what kind of racing we're going to see tonight. There was a lot of great racing in there, but there was also a lot of really unfortunate contact in that one, wasn't there, Paul?
Indeed, and I do think we've got some very, very strong and burning rivalries forming between drivers, which I think are going to stay with us now to the end of the season. And whilst we do love to see a good rivalry, I think the stewards may have to just simply pull some drivers apart come the end of this race, indeed the end of this round, and say, come on guys, we've got a couple of rounds left, just calm it down a little bit, because we love to see close racing, but at the same time what we don't want to see is something like what's happened to Lee Holmes, which we're running right up there. In the end he had to retire to the pit lane and finish P23, and well, that is, for Lee Holmes, that could be his championship contention right now in the dustbin. Yeah,
it's a very good point. I kind of alluded to it at Monza, where other drivers squabbling together, not only, well, sometimes they can ruin their own races, but they can ruin other people's races as well, and that might have been what happened to Lee Holmes. We kind of saw him get swiped from the side there, which caused the contact on Mikey Doble, which ultimately might have caused the retirement there for Lee Holmes. But yeah, that might have compromised his championship as well, not just his race. But we'll find out. But we'll go through the results here of this race, the first race of the night. Very exciting indeed. But it is Maurice Henry who does take his first win of the season, with Adam Delmont in second position. Pete Newman, a good comeback for him to take third place in that race. We have in fourth place John Higgins. Fourth place with Jamie Dorey, a good cut back through the field to finish fifth from 13th on the grid. William Chadwick, sixth position for him. A few contacts in that race for him, but recovers to sixth in the end. Craig Cockrell in seventh, with Deegan Fairclough in eighth position. Leah Mcnealy in ninth, a good recovery for him to still get himself into reverse grid contention. Nigel Stock takes 10th position, with David Whitehouse first in the AM category drivers in 11th. And he'll start second on the grid alongside pole position for this next race, having finished 12th here, Nick Clibbens. so a good opportunity for him. Lee Horne is a little bit under the weather tonight. He's in 13th, sadly misses out on the reverse grid pole. Matthew Addy takes 14th from Paul Scott in 15th. John Higgins, Double J, in 16th, with Rob McGregor in 17th. Matt Emmons in 18th. Lee Holmes getting 19th in the end, with Mikey Doble 20th. John Burnham 21st. Mark Oliver 22nd. And Sam Smith 23rd. So I'm a little bit surprised to see Mikey Doble down there. He was 19th on the original standings, drops to 20th. It's swapped around between him and Lee Holmes. It's a bit confusing there on our other standings. But yeah, you can see they're well down the order there. They've got it all to do in this next race, haven't they, Paul?
Oh, indeed. But for them, what they may be thinking right now is, okay, if that's the way things are going to go in terms of when the racing gets close and tough towards the end of each race, they may be grateful in race number 2 to think to themselves, okay, they're going to be out of it and they can get right up there into the battling late on. But we'll have to wait and see. I can already hear down in the paddock right now, a few words are being sent around. I think some drivers are throwing up a few bit of red words or a bit of red mist, but I think the stewards will be getting involved to calm everyone down in the meantime in the build-up to race number 2, and that's why we can't wait to bring it to you in short order.
Yeah, what we don't need, drivers, is a good old Jason Plato versus McNeil punch-up. We don't want any of that. But we'll see if everyone kisses and makes up ready for race 2 coming up very shortly. This has been Alex Everett and Paul Walsh here on Crest Autosport TV and Next Gen Racing TV. Thank you very much for watching so far. Race 2 coming up very shortly. Don't go away.
say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill. Cold at the touch, dead in the eyes. No signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more. No, a crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 Just black and white. Oh. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White.
Welcome back, everyone. Following the interlude, we're back here to Interlagos. Round 10 of the championship will resume tonight, with the second race of the night taking place in about 2 to 3 minutes' time. And what a first race we had. That'll certainly go down in the history of the championship as one of the big ones. Wouldn't you agree, Paul? Just incredible racing to a point, and then it just sort of, well, it just turned a bit sour between drivers almost, didn't it?
It did indeed, and as you say, Alex, the racing for the most part was absolutely fantastic, but that final lap, or particularly going into the final lap, things really did kick off. But to be fair, one of the upsides of it is the drivers who were not involved in the scrappiness and whatnot have really benefited, and most so Maurice Henry, of course, picking up his inaugural win in the series, and a number of drivers who were not necessarily looking to pick up being on the podium, such as Pete Newman, ended up on the podium in the end. So when some fall, it's the case that others rise, and that's what we've got to look forward to here. And I'm sure those tuning in right now, cheering on some of the lesser featured drivers in terms of they're not always right up front, it'll be the case that they're going to be having their hearts full of joy tonight in the fact they're seeing some of perhaps not as fast drivers really doing well and picking up the pieces.
Absolutely. We saw a brilliant comeback from Pete Newman in that race, and of course Adam Delmont definitely won't be complaining about some of the results in that race. He is in the mix, the battle of the top three between himself, Mikey Doble, and Lee Holmes, of course. And of course they didn't have very good races. The results low down the order. Deegan Fairclough didn't get a bad result, but involved in a lot of drama in that race. He might be looked at by the stewards quite a lot on the conclusion of tonight, so that race might be to the great benefit of Adam Delmont, but we'll see as things progress, as days progress in this championship. In this championship, though, we have got 3 rounds to go, including tonight, Interlagos tonight, Long Beach next week, and in 2 weeks from today will be the Nürburgring Nordschleife round of the championship to tail it all off. A 2-hour endurance to finish it all off. One race, one long race with that, with pit stops, fuel changes, tyre changes, etc. It's going to be a very epic finale to this great championship. But without further ado, very quickly indeed, Paul Walsh is going to give you the grid for this next race.
So with the partial reverse grid going into race 2 from 12th place upwards, here's the case Nick Clibben starts on pole with David Whitehouse, our AM driver there, who won in race number 1 alongside him. Nigel Stock and Leah Mcnealy on row 2 with Deegan Fairclough and Craig Cockrell on row 3. William Chadwick and Jamie Dory on row 4. John Higgins and Pete Newman complete in the top 10. Then Adam Delmont and Maurice Henry on row 6 with Lee Horne and Matthew Addy row 7. Lee Horne wanting some more luck this time round. Paul Scott and John Higgins on row number 8 with Rob McGregor and Matt Emmons on row number 9. And well, I think we've got a couple more drivers, Lee Holmes and Mikey Doble on row number 10, and then on row number 11 it's John Burnham and Mark Oliver, and then last but not least it is Sam Smith starting at the back, and he'll be looking to have an instant free race night. Indeed, a number of the drivers down towards the back there, such as Lee Holmes and Mikey Doble, out of position as we are getting ready to go racing in race number 2 here of round 10 at Interlagos, and all the grid in order is complete, and now we await the lights. And as we wait for them, it will be red lights in very short order. 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights, and it's lights down. Away we go for race number 2 here at the Autodromo Cars Pache as all our drivers come charging it down towards turn number 1. It's a great start here from Nick Clibben. It's really nailing that start, and David Whitehouse, to be fair, no slouch either. But you can see Leah Mcnealy immediately going on the offensive here, but not able to tuck the car on in as they all come down through the centre S for the first time. And well, as they roll them through, we've got Nigel Stock there losing the rear end of the car, and that's those cold tyres once again. 3 drivers being caught out, and all of them just keeping out the barrier, apart from David Whitehouse, who's lost the front bumper. But as we look back up towards the front of the field very shortly, I suspect it is the case. We'll just wait to see what's happening here. I think we had a bit of a desync, but oh goodness me, we've got 4 wide further back there, and it is the case that Jamie Dory taking a bit of a hit on the back as they make their way through turn number 4. And well, it's Jamie Dory who, with that little bit of a knock, has lost a number of positions as they all roll their way through turn number 5, and now up to 6 they come. And where it looks as though here Pete Newman and Jamie Dory side by side with behind them, that is John Higgins trying to look for the move as well. And as they roll them through the right hand, here is the case that all the drivers make their way through, and Jamie Dory holding position well, but he's got Pete Newman trying to score points around the outside here, and Maurice Henry a little bit bit further back, trying to go round the outside of Adam Delmont. I think getting it done as they roll through turn number 9 in the infield section, and as they make their way on through, Pete Newman getting the better exit, and well, Maurice Henry definitely now ahead of Adam Delmont, but Pete Newman still in this long side-by-side battle as they make their way through turn 10. You love to see it, but at the same time, it is giving Craig Cockrell the ability to break away, the Pro-Am leader right now, so they make their way down through 11 and in towards turn number 12, and as they come up towards John Cow right now, you can see here, it's the case Higgins going for the move on the inside. He goes in very tight to that apex then. JB Dory gives it the space as it looks as though there, Adam Delmont being sent very, very wide, and it's almost as if he rubber banded off another car as they make their way up the hill. Now, what happened here, Alex?
Yeah, a little bit of contact between him and Maurice Henry. The right side of Maurice Henry's car hit by Adam Delmont as Henry hit the inner curb and washed out a little bit. That sends Delmont well down the order, and he won't be pleased about that. 19th place held for him at the moment, while one of his championship rivals, the biggest move at the grid so far, 9 places gained for Lee Holmes, and he has got Mikey Doble not too far behind as well. Both 9 places gained. They are creeping their way back up the order, and their charge is on indeed. Deegan Fairclough takes lead in this race, or has taken the lead in the race on the last lap. But we have got the Fordzilla drivers after him yet again. It's going to rage on between these drivers yet again in this race. Deegan leads. Oh, he goes very wide there, coming out of turn 4. And now McNealy commences the battle that we saw similar in race 1. The two are side by side heading up to 6. Into the corner we go. And McNealy backs off and puts it back behind Fairclough as we head through turn 7 and break into turn 8. He has got a little bit of backup this time as well, though, as Chadwick right behind him in 3rd place there. There'll be a little bit more conservation in this race between these two drivers because there's a lot less drivers around them, of course. But of course, wary of what happened in the first race, they won't want another bad result. They'll want to actually seal this one and get a good result on the board. Mikey Doble puts it back up into the top 10. Past Lee Holmes he goes and into 10th place. Trying to ease it back onto that apex, but the 88 tech car of Lee Holmes was on his inside. Into the next corner we go. Lee Holmes, a big dive to the inside, but a big undercut equally from Mikey Doble to get it back in front. And Lee Horne, very opportunistic move here, puts it to the inside of Lee Holmes, and he'll put himself in between him, Lee Holmes and Mikey Doble to take 11th place here. Good move there from Lee Horne. But at the front, it is rage on between these drivers. Fairclough at the top, Nick McNealy in 2nd, Chadwick in 3rd, Clibbins in 4th there. And just hanging on to the back here is the Pro-Am leader by some distance, Craig Cockrell.
Oh, indeed, and as they make their way through the centre S's. Now, what you've got to imagine, particularly in Nick Clibbins' instance here, what of him being in P4, he was seen from race number 1, the fact that the top 3 right now, there's quite a bit of animosity between the 3 of them, and as a result, he'll probably be thinking, you know what, I'm just going to stay behind them, and if they start making contact, get ready to seize on that potential chance to take a win, and Clibbins would love to take a win here at Interlagos. They make the way on down, and I think he's just got to play it smart here, has Nick Clibbins, as he waits and watches, but of course, the longer this goes on, particularly if they start fighting one another, as we ride on board briefly here as he makes his way through turn number 6 and 7 following them up sweet. It is the case that if they do start kicking off, then you can imagine that the likes of Craig Cockrell, Pete Newman, Higgins, you name it, will all start to close up, and I think we are starting to see the first signs of Fairclough just trying to push a little bit harder, and McNealy staying with him here and starting to gradually ease the pressure onto him as they make their way down and around through turn number 9 and in towards turn number 10 once again. But the field not too spaced out, in fact, at the moment. It's only really John Higgins who's 2.5 seconds off of Pete Newman between P7 and P6. That's the only gap we've got in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. But something you alluded to is it might bunch up a little bit if these lots start batting again. I do wonder if it's on some of these drivers' minds that if the more they battle, the more that the drivers further back will catch up, as we see a very rare mistake from Leah Mcnealy coming out of the final corner there. He'll drop to 3rd place and lose a lot of momentum as ahead of him goes his teammate William Chadwick. But, yeah, very uncharacteristic mistake indeed from Leah Mcnealy, but I don't think that's going to put him off too much. He's still going to be in the running for the win here. Fairclough goes to defend the inside, heading up towards turn 1. Across the beam we go. Fairclough leads another lap here, pulls back onto the racing line. A little bit of connection difficulties there from McNealy, which might make the other drivers around him a little bit nervous, as closing in comes Craig Cockrell and Pete Newman. Pete Newman has been a star tonight. He's just been one of the biggest movers of the races so far, But Mikey Doble is the biggest mover of this race, specifically 12 places gained. And we see this so often from Mikey Doble. Charges through the field when he needs it. And he's up to 8th place at the moment. Going to head his way towards this top battle here. Working together by the looks of it between himself and race 1 winner Maurice Henry. And we'll see if they can get themselves up. They need the guys at the top to battle a little bit more, though. There's not much going on between these drivers. A train of 6 cars at the moment, but things might get a little bit tense as we get a little bit further on into this race. It started kicking off properly around about 8 minutes in on the last race, didn't it, Paul? That's when everyone decided, right, now's the time to get it towards the front, because although it's a short circuit, it's still a fairly long lap, so there's not many laps in these races.
Indeed, and that's the problem now. Everybody in race number 1, as you say, Alex, when they kicked off about 8 minutes into the 15 minutes, everybody really revealed their hand early, and we saw a lot of battling, and again, fantastic battling for the most part. But now, I get the feeling that a number of drivers here in the pursuit, particularly, say, Chadwick, McNealy, and also Clemens, to be fair, they're all going to be, it's almost like a poker game. They've all got their hand to play, but when are they going to reveal their hand? Now, you can see McNealy already getting a bit closer to his teammate Chadwick. I think he wants to try and get himself back ahead of Chadwick, but will he do it now? Will he wait a little bit later on? Meanwhile, further back there, we can see Pete Newman, for example. John Higgins is falling further back off of Newman, so it's the case the top 6 have pulled away, with John Higgins under increasing pressure from Mikey Doble. Now, will Higgins be thinking about, for example, if I let Doble go, and well, here comes the move from Doble, just as I was about to say, will he let him go? And he does. He just simply leaves the door open, and Maurice Henry tries to squeeze on through. And there's contact between the two of them. Maurice Henry coming in with just a little bit too much momentum, the rear coming loose. Higgins thrown up onto 2 wheels briefly, but I think Higgins will just about get away with that. It won't have damaged the suspension too much, but I think he's going to be trying to nurse that car for just half the lap at least as they make their way down. And Pete Newman here going for the move on Craig Cockrell, but to be fair, Craig Cockrell doesn't need to fight this. He's the Pro-Am leader by a sizable margin. Lee Horne's the best part of 5 seconds down the road, and well, I think Craig Cockrell will be just hoping to get the pros out of the way and bring the car home. That's all you got to do.
Well, you say that, but he is fighting back quite a bit on Pete Newman here. Has the outside for the next corner, so he might well try and tuck back in behind. But to keep his foot down and to get it back past the nose past Pete Newman anyway, shows that he's definitely in a hurry. I mean, he's got Lee Horne not too far behind indeed, who's going to take a look to the inside of John Higgins, but doesn't decide to go for it in the end. But Lee Horne's 2nd place in category at the moment. It wasn't such a good race 1 for him, but recovering very well in this 2nd race here with 2nd place in category respectively. Meanwhile, back towards the front, no change in the pecking order here. Fairclough still leads from Chadwick, from McNealy, and I think what you said earlier certainly is the case. They don't want to show their cards too early. I mean, a lot of that came out in race 1 as we see Fairclough go very wide coming out of the final corner there, and that's going to upset his car and allow Chadwick and McNealy to pounce. But these drivers might be waiting for a moment later on in the night, later on in this race, with just over 5 minutes to go. Pushing along Fairclough is Chadwick. He's not going to go for the move just yet. Or will he, as we look towards turn 1? Is this going to be the moment Chadwick pokes out and has a look? No, but it's going to be McNealy coming out of the slipstream to make sure he can see his braking point, ease it down in the corner so he doesn't hit his teammate too hard on the rear as they go through the corner. And definitely can see here the Fordzilla drivers trying a different tactic in this race. It is not get us to the front as quickly as possible. It's just get us to the front at some point in this race. And they're waiting for that moment a little bit later on, because in these cars on such a quick track for these cars, it's hard to break away from the pack.
Oh, indeed. Now, they do have a little bit of a conundrum coming up, which is they've got, just ahead of them, David Whitehouse about 3 seconds up the road, who is being reeled in. Oh, goodness me, what on earth has happened here? And Jamie Dory is going nowhere with that collapsed suspension on the front right axle.
Yeah, we're trying to take a look at it. A lot seemed to happen on that stretch of road there. I think it started with something happening to Nigel Stock as he's pulling back onto the track here. That might not have been it, to be fair. Let's see if it came from Lee Holmes. He's gone wide, coming out of turn 4 there. We'll take a look at another one. This is the crash from Jamie Dory. And it's him and Lee Horne heading up down the straight here. Oh, and there was an incident up ahead, and he had tried to bail out of it. It was between Maurice Henry and Lee Holmes. So we'll take another look, see if this is actually the incident. No, we'll have to go even earlier than that. Here we go, and this is Maurice Henry moving across the track, and eventually contact's made between him and Lee Holmes. That's quite a difficult one to call. You could see that Maurice Henry is trying to latch onto the back of Mikey Doble as he swerves left, but Lee Holmes is still there. Maurice Henry clearly didn't know he was that close, but of course you can't be sure about these things in racing. And that has ultimately led to the demise of many people's race, including Lee Holmes yet again. Such a bad night for him at the moment.
Well, indeed, and whilst it was a very unfortunate incident, I think when they look back at it again, there may just be a question about visibility between the two drivers in terms of knowing how wide the car was and how much overlap. But it's one of those ones where I don't think either driver wanted it to happen or meant for it to happen, but it's one of those unfortunate parts of racing. Somebody's probably going to get a slap on the wrist about it, but I don't imagine I'm a huge penalty. But I can see you there, Pete Newman going for the move on Nick Clibbins from really far back there. He's made it just about work, or has he? As we can see here, it is the case of Clibbins coming back in through 5 and up to 6, and now with everyone catching up to a little bit of traffic in the form of David Whitehouse, who of course had the blue flags when he's moved wide immediately, but whereas Pete Newman they're battling with what is a Clibbins as they roll on through, and Wes Newman who holds the inside into turn 8 here, and perhaps he can use Whitehouse to try and give him a bit of a space, and no, it's the case actually. Whitehouse then moves out the way very nicely coming through turn number 9 and gives both drivers what we want, and it is the case for them to battle once again. But take us away for this, Alex, because this is great.
Yeah, just a big, deep braking move there. Managed to get the car slowed down enough. He had to run a little bit wide there, and it allowed Nick Clibbins to get back up the inside. But Pete Newman was ultimately able to hang on to it. Just kept his nose alongside Clibbins long enough for this next corner of turn 6 and got it back up the inside. Brilliant, brilliant racing from Pete Newman tonight. I'm really enjoying watching him race tonight. And we'll see what he can do with these drives up ahead as Chadwick and McNealy have made their way past Egan Fairclough. We'll get a quick replay of that just now before we see the end of the straight here. And it's Fairclough who run wide coming out of the final corner there. And he bogged down, losing out to McNealy and Chadwick. Here we go down the back straight here. We will have one lap to go upon the conclusion of this one. And it is McNealy leading this race here to the inside. He guards it from Fairclough, and he's got Chadwick on his outside, who'll have the inside for turn 2, but then the inside goes back to Fairclough for turn 3, and he gets it in front and into second position. Pete Newman here lingering in 4th place. He'll want to get himself onto the podium for a repeat podium in this race. He got 3rd place in race 1, of course. Guarding the inside desperately is McNealy. He's trying to help out his teammate, but equally defend his own race. Almost a 3 wide. It was a 3 wide, in fact, going into the braking zone, of which Pete Newman backed out of it most of all. And McNealy run very wide there, coming out of turn 5. Through the corner we go. Pete Newman has put it up the inside for turn 5, sorry, but into turn 6, he'll have the outside and he won't be able to get it around Chadwick, presumably. Oh, contact again between McNealy and Fairclough. Fairclough got away with that one, with McNealy still going, but P. Newman has got his way past Chadwick. To the inside he'll go. Oh, he nearly got it to the inside of Fairclough there, and Fairclough runs a little bit wide. To the hairpin we go. Chadwick will take the inside back from Pete Newman as we head into this corner. McNealy is checked out here. He might be in the best opportunity yet. Oh, and a bit of a nudge there from Chadwick puts him to the outside. Newman's trying to find a way through either of these, but it's getting very near the end here. Close between these two drivers. Around the final corner we'll go. Fairclough decides to go through first of the two drivers. Pete Newman with a big undercut there. He'll be able to get to the inside. No, he just hasn't got it. Not enough gap there as we head towards the finish line. Leah Mcnealy is checked out and he'll win the race here at Interlagos. But the battle rages on for second place here. Chadwick has to take to the right side to try and get around him. But McNealy will come through to win this race. Brilliant win for him with Fairclough in second place, Chadwick in second, very close between them coming across the line, and Clibbins finishes fourth in the end, getting it past Pete Newman to the line. What a fantastic finish between them drivers. I think the timing that we've been given across the line there is 0.02 of a second between Chadwick and Fairclough. Brilliant battle to the end. It was Chadwick who pipped him to the line. Fantastic indeed.
Oh, indeed. I mean, I think that's going to be a photo finish. It may be the case that they've got to take a look back at that. But this ending, I mean, to be fair, Chadwick in the end, he just couldn't seem to find a way. And he was made to go all the way round here versus Dean Fairclough. And as they made the way to the line, well, as we try and slow it down here for the image, here's the case. Where's that timing line? Is it the checked line there? Oh, it's very close. I think that's actually Dean Fairclough who's taken.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that is. We'll see if we can take a look. It's not very professional, granted, but we just want to see how close it is. Very close. But I think it was Fairclough who got second place in the end. Brilliant battling from them two drivers at the end there. Pete Newman, who was looking very good for third place, even second place, fifth in the end for him, but a brilliant charge through. Brilliant overtaking from Pete Newman in that race. And Clibbins, hats off to him, was very, very impressive to take fourth place and keep up with those drivers at the front there. To take a very well-deserved fourth place in that race. But Leah Mcnealy back on that top step of the podium. It didn't quite work out for him in race 1, but it did work out for him in race 2. But the results of this race, read to you by Paul Walsh himself.
Race number 2, subject to any stewards' inquiries, of course, your results are as follows, ladies and gentlemen. Leah Mcnealy taking the win in the end for Fordzilla by 9/10 of a second ahead of Deegan Fairclough there in P2. William Chadwick P3 just missing out by 0.02 of a second with Nick Clibbins P4. A great effort from Nick Clibbins, and Pete Newman in the top 5 once again with a P5 finish. Craig Rockwell taking the win in the Pro-Am class there, P6, a rather comfortable performance, but a classic performance from the Simtech Racing Gold driver. Mikey Doble P7 recovering to P7 and started a long way down the order and gained 13 places over the distance, the most places gained. John Higgins, the original John Higgins that is, P8, with Lee Horne coming home P9, second place in the Pro-Am class, and Adam Delmont in P10. Ron McGregor coming home third in the Pro-Am class, P11 overall. The Scotsman will be very happy with that performance, there's no doubt about that. Sam Smith P12, and then Matthew Addy P13, and John Burnham P14. Paul Scott taking the win in the AM class there, P15 overall, with Nigel Stott P16. Unfortunate at the start of the race to be towards the middle point of the race, actually, to be involved in that instant, but bringing the car home. And John Higgins coming home in P17 with Matt Emmons P18. Not having much luck today as Matt Emmons, and Maurice Henry P19 with Jamie Dory coming home P20, and then off of the lead lap, but finishing the race under their own momentum. David Whitehouse P21 after the spin at the start of the race. Lee Holmes P22, and then Mark Oliver, last but not least, P23.
Well, another good race we've seen tonight, and it's all going to come to a head at the conclusion of the next race coming up, which is the 25-minute feature race. We've had 2 15-minute races so far, but now a 25-minute race will finish us off for the night, and a full reverse grid, which we'll read to you once we come back after the break. Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back for race 3 very shortly.
doesn't really matter, 'cause I feel so free now. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes when you're here, I can't feel no doubts, 'cause you keep me where the stars are found. It doesn't really matter, 'cause you're here with me now. It doesn't really matter, 'cause I feel so free now. It doesn't really matter. Cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. It's black and white.
Welcome back, everyone. And as the sun sets here in Brazil, sun sets on our night of MX-5 racing. This is Next Gen Racing MX-5 Cup, round 10 to you here from Interlagos. And we are in the final quarter of the season. And it's really getting to the tail end now. The last chance for these drivers on a wide and expansive circuit like this to really get in the results now. Final race, 25 minutes of action to conclude this part of the season. We'll head into the next round of the championship after today, which will be Long Beach in 1 week from today, the street circuit in California. And then we'll head back to Europe for the final round of the championship, where it will not be 3 races. It will be a single 2-hour endurance featuring pit stops, tyre strategies, fuel strategies, etc., and double points on offer for the drivers in that final round. 14th March, mark it in your diaries right here on Crest Autosport TV on YouTube and Twitch, and of course NXTGEN Racing on Facebook. Do give the associated pages we just mentioned a like, follow, share and or subscribe from wherever you are watching around the world to watch this action take place as we conclude the season. Sit reps so far of tonight. Well, it has been a very interesting night indeed. Race 1 was fireworks, whereas the second race was a lot calmer, more of a campfire kind of race, but had a very exciting end indeed. Race 1 won by Maurice Henry. Went a bit blank for a second then, but Maurice Henry taking the win in that first race with a little bit of drama that happened on that final lap. But in race 2, redemption for Leah Mcnealy, who was pole position for race 1, but race 2 he took the win. Now this final race, the 25-minute race, Paul, we do see, well, it's full reverse grid, so we see drivers coming through the grids, and a lot of the time it's very, very influenced by yellow flags as well. But we could see a very, very, very interesting race coming up here with all the drivers bunched together and a lot of drivers charging through the pack. This could be a big one right here and right now, especially as it's the last chance for drivers on a wide, expansive circuit to get big battling in.
Oh, indeed. And add to that as well, the fact that we do have a couple of drivers who will be starting out of position, given the fact they were involved in some incidents in race number 2 as well. And particularly Nigel Stock is one to watch out for. He finished quite far down where his pace would have put him. And we'll add that all together. Plus also the fact the brakes and tyres do not seem to be wearing as aggressively here, given how much of the racing is full throttle throughout. I do think we are going to be seeing, as you say, Alex, a very tight field for at least the opening 20 minutes.
Absolutely. As we head into this final race of the night, a beautiful sunset here at Interlagos, with the lights on the cars. It will be David Whitehouse who puts it on pole position for this final race of the night, with Jamie Dory alongside, who had a rusty finish to that race 2, involved in an incident on the back straight, but he starts second with Maurice Henry in third, Matt Emmons in fourth position with John Higgins in fifth place, Nigel Stock in sixth with Paul Scott in seventh, John Burnham in eighth position. Ninth place going to Matthew Addy with Sam Smith in 10th. Rob McGregor will take 11th from Adam Delmont in 12th. Lee Horne takes 13th on the grid with John Higgins alongside in 14th. Mikey Doble 15th with Craig Cockrell in 16th. 17th going to Nick Clibbins. Will Chadwick in 18th. 19th Deegan Fairclough. And Leah Mcnealy 20th. 20 cars on the grid as we're about to get underway for this next race of the night. The final race of the night here at Interlagos. And everyone's gridded up. We're about to go here. Lights will start to turn red as we get ready from the sun setting here in Sao Paulo for the 10th round of the championship, race 3, which is now underway. And a pretty decent start by the looks of it from David Whitehouse as he screams away with Maurice Henry already alongside Jamie Dory, looking to take second place indeed. Maurice Henry is certainly a driver who could do with getting into that first spot very, very quickly on. And there has been a spin in the middle already. That is Sam Smith and Nigel Stock on the inside there, and also on the outside there. That looked like it was Matthew Addy and another next-gen driver. Couldn't quite see. It was Matt Emmons. Very slow coming out of turns 1 and 2 for those drivers. But away and at the front here is David Whitehouse from Maurice Henry, from Jamie Dory, and all these gaggle of cars moving down into turn 4. Big move there from Adam Delmont. He had to stamp on the brakes. Oh, and there's contact there between him and Lee Horne. Huge contact and a bit of an incident there. Other drivers getting past very, very well indeed. And it looks like a lot of drivers have got away with that just then, Paul.
Indeed, it looks as though, well, whilst we've had 2 quite significant incidents going through turns 2 and 3, plus also through turn 4, it seems that the incidents have only been isolated to the belligerents involved in the initial contact. And well, Maurice Henry already to lead this race with Jamie Dory tucking in behind him. And we can see here Rob McGregor attacking early and getting past Paul Scott. It is the case, the elite access driver here trying to build his way up the order. And well, he wants to do so as quickly as possible because he has John Burnham giving pursuit. And you can see John Burnham right now, I think, trying to find a way past Paul Scott. But the majority of our drivers drivers making it out of this opening lap so far relatively unscathed, and well, it is a bit of a change of a trend compared to races 1 and 2, where we have had quite a significant incident on that opening lap as they all make their way for Juncal Corner at turn number 12 and make their way up the hill now to complete the opener of this 25-minute race. But the field quite spread as well, but to be fair, at the same time, William Chadwick and Deegan Fairclough right now both gaining 11 places so far in this lap, absolutely merciless in their ascent up the order, and well, both of them wanting this win so very much so, as Maurice Henry comes across the timeline to take the first lap in his favour as he makes his way down towards turn number 1, and once again he leads ahead of Jamie Dory by 7/10, who's got David Whitehouse behind him in P3, and then Rob McGregor at P4 with Paul Scott behind. But as they all come charging down through the centre rest this time, everybody line astern right now and keeping it calm. I think settling into the river. Oh, we've got somebody off there in the rear of the picture. That's Rob McGregor at turn number 3, who's had it all go wrong again, and he can't get a break.
No, he can't. He's just had his luck's run out at some point this season, the latter part of this season. Running wide there, and that's it. Once the car runs off wide there out of turn 2, that's it. It's into the wall, and that is going to be race over for him. That's going to be too much damage to his car. Such a shame for Rob McGregor. But, well, hopefully we'll see him bounce back at Long Beach next week. But meanwhile, raging on these battles. 14 places gained for William Chadwick and Deegan Fairclough. McNealy, not quite as quick again through the order, but still 12 places gained, and he's not too far off the back of his teammate and his old rival Deegan Fairclough indeed. But up to 4th place now are these two drivers, and they've got the top 3 in sight. Maurice Henry, well, I said it at the start, he might want to get himself into P1 very quickly. He has done, but he has got the charging main protagonists of the previous race coming at him, as Maurice Henry is looking to pick up another win tonight. Race 1 win, of course, but race 2 involved in that incident involving him, Lee Holmes and Jamie Dory. He'd be looking to get a good result in this race to pick up the pieces in terms of points. But we'll see how it gets on. We've got over 20 minutes remaining in this race, so a lot of battling between the main drivers, particularly Henry, Chadwick, Fairclough and McNealy. But let's see what else is happening further down the order. Adam Delmont, 12th place at the moment. What can he do at this point? He had a very good race 1, but race 2 didn't go so well. Race 3, he's really got to pick it up to get some big points in the championship. Back towards the front here, we had McNealy making a move on John Burnham. We've also got Mikey Doble making a move on Nick Clivens and Paul Scott there to put himself into 8th place. Clivens here in 9th place. It's been a good night for him indeed. A very good result in that previous race, Paul.
Indeed, and now Clivens, well, whilst we were focused a little bit further up the order, Clivens and Doble exchanged places, Doble taking the advantage, and I think Clivens here really playing the smart game, which is he's tucking in behind the driver, who, if you want the ultimate conservative driver, because he wants to maintain that championship lead, it is Mikey Doble, and Clivens recognising the case, if I don't fight this guy, if I just follow him through, he's going to pull me up to further positions and give me greater opportunities, and Mikey Doble right now tucked up behind what is McNealy as they make, well, not McNealy, my apologies, that's John Burnham, and it's McNealy a little bit further up the road as they continue on through, and William Chadwick right now. Now Chadwick's in a bit of a difficult position here. He's got Deegan Fairclough tucked in behind him, and of course in the previous race, in race number 2 where it's 15 minutes, it was the case that Chadwick and McNealy tucked in behind Fairclough and went on the offensive right at the end, but now the roles are reversed here, plus they've got an extra 10 minutes on this race. Will Fairclough show the same patience? I suspect he will for the time being, but when he sees that opportunity, he's not going to wait any longer, and he will go for the move. Of course, that's that racing spirit within him as they make their way in towards turn 12 once again. But now, of course, they have David Whitehouse ahead of them, who they'll need to navigate. And David Whitehouse, I don't think will want to be in this fight for too long, given the fact that he's lost 1 result tonight and given away a win to Paul Scott. And now he'll be looking to try and make it 2 wins out of 3 in order to be able to maintain that advantage in the AM Championship and end things early. But as they make their way through to the end of another lap, almost 6 minutes complete so far, and it is the case that sun's not getting any higher in the sky, it's only getting lower and the darkness descends. Well, we go even further into the unknowns. A bit further back there, I think it's Mikey Doble battling for position versus John Burnham, and Nick Clivens also trying to find a way on through. Of course, what is there Burnham, the Pro-Am driver, not needing to fight for this, but you can see there Clivens not wasting any time trying to squeeze his way through, but he gets tucked in behind Burnham, and well, Burnham gives Doble the room there on the inside of 3, and as they roll on through here, I think Clivens will be given the same opportunity to come on through down the Repro-Posta straight, as meanwhile further up front, Jamie Dory battling with Maurice Henry, and this is not the way Henry will have wanted it to go. He will have wanted to be clear of Jamie Dory, but Dory is coming on strong, and as they're battling one another, look who's closing up behind Alex. It's Chadwick and Fairclough.
Yeah, Whitehouse, as you mentioned, didn't get his elbows out too much for these drivers, but he's got McNealy too. Here's inside. Oh, and there is contact between McNealy and David Whitehouse. There was a little bit of netcode in that. Oh, as David Whitehouse rejoins the track very close to the other drivers. But back at the front, Jamie Dory loses a little bit of momentum with Maurice Henry getting into first place yet again. Vekloff on the outside. He'll have the inside for the hairpin coming up very, very shortly. And to the inside will also go William Chadwick. Jamie Dory's a bit of a sitting duck here, but will now have the inside for 2 corners coming up here as he'll settle for 3rd place. He'll be happy about that, but the Fordzilla drivers need to make a plan here as Fairclough is getting away with Maurice Henry. Henry, his lead is under threat here. It has been for this last lap or so, but he has now got to get the elbows out and start battling with these other drivers. He's had it relatively easy for about 6 minutes at this race, but it is now game on for him.
Indeed, and as they make their way through, Maurice Henry having quite a slow exit out of turn number 12, interestingly enough, and as a result it has caused everybody to bunch up here, and Jamie Dory taking the initiative and going wide, but look who's going through the middle of them all as they almost make their way, almost, well, 3 wide in the rear of the group, 2 wide up front, and it's Jamie Dory who's going to try and go all the way around the outside, but we can see McNealy going in on the brakes, fully committed, gains the place off of Dory here, and well, Dory was wise to the idea of trying to make the outside run work, but in the end McNealy getting the better run and braver on the brakes. It really lit up those brake discs. You can see them glowing into the braking zones, those carbon ceramic discs, and they make their way all down towards turn number 4. It is the case that Maurice Henry goes defensive here versus Fairclough, and there's a bit of contact, and you can see Chadwick trying to squeeze on through. I think those elbows are starting to reappear here, and we are only 8.5 minutes in as they make their way up the hill, and as they come up the hill, my goodness, well, I mean, you can see 2 wide here a lot, but almost 4 wide until they calm it down, and they go 2 by 2 through turn number 6 and 7, and you can see the Fordzilla guys really making sure that Dory can't get back into this, but in return they don't want to let Fairclough get away with battling with Henry.
Yeah, and Fairclough has allowed Chadwick to take to the right side, but Chadwick will not be able to get up the inside for the hairpin. You can see Fairclough is very cleverly choosing his lines here to stop the Fordzilla drivers taking to the inside for these next 2 corners, but I think he may have let him slip. Chadwick takes the inside. Oh, and Fairclough just about closes the door from Chadwick, and it's not able to happen, but the Fordzilla drivers will work together up the hill here. Oh, as round the outside goes Fairclough, round the outside of Maurice Henry, and a good run here for Fairclough. This might well work out for him. A brilliant move. Oh, there's contacts made between the 2 again. Up the hill we go, and up to the top now. It's now a straight battle to the line, and into turn 1 is 3 wide between these. Henry, Fairclough and Chadwick. Oh, and there's more contact. It's now 4 wide heading down the main straight here. Who's going to be the first going into the corner? Backing out of it is Leah Mcnealy. Into turn 1 we go. Henry has the inside. Fairclough is in the middle, and he'll have the inside for turn 2, but Henry will hold the inside for turn 3 coming up very shortly. Very wide there coming through turn 2, but Henry will hang on to the inside for turn 3. The Fordzilla driver's on the inside of Fairclough here. He's a bit of a sitting duck, isolated on the outside here, trying to get as close as he can to the 2 of them, trying to intimidate them a little bit as they push along Maurice Henry down the back straight here. Into the next corner we go. Jamie Dory is joining in with the battle as well as Mikey Doble joining in very shortly. Brilliant battling from these drivers. Maurice Henry will hang on to the inside. Oh, as contact's made between him and Fairclough again. We have got McNealy on the outside as well. Fairclough drops down and behind Maurice Henry. Round the outside goes Leah Mcnealy, powering it round turn 6. And he'll have the inside for the following corner of turn 8 after this one. McNealy might have taken the lead here. He has. Brilliant move from McNealy, but a spin here from Maurice Henry. He's turned around by Fairclough again. And he's trying to get it away very quickly, but it seems to be stuck in the tyre wall. Reverses it out, and he's able to get away and going again, but he's going to be out of contention here. More contact that results in a race getting away from someone. Let's get a quick replay of that. Talk us through it, Paul.
As they came out of turn 8 here, I think it was the case that Deegan Fairclough just able to get on the throttle a little bit earlier than Maurice Henry, and he just misanticipated Henry's ability to get on the throttle. You could see Henry, to be fair, had already slightly lost the rear coming out of turn number 8, where he was pushing so hard, and in the end he had to lift off the throttle to settle the car down, and it all just did not work out in the end. As we return to live pictures now, and it is the case, well, with that, Leah Mcnealy is now your race leader. They're almost at the half-time point, but right now as they come across that timeline once again. It is the case that our top 7 now separated by only 2 seconds at most as Fairclough goes on a move versus William Chadwick here. Down through turn 1 into 2 and through the centre S's, and Mikey Doble now trying to size up a move versus Jamie Dory. And what I haven't talked about, it hasn't been on camera, Craig Cockrell and John Burnham had a little bit of a scrap earlier on in the battle for the Prime League. They've calmed down a bit. I think John Burnham's made a mistake, but it is the case that Craig Cockrell, having broken away from Burnham right now, will be coming up to the back of this battle for the lead. And well, it is only going to get even more intense as we can see Chadwick here going up the inside of Wes Fairclough as they come through 4, and Will Fairclough takes to the runoff there and keeps the momentum for the time being as they come through the left-hander of 5, and as they make the way up the hill, you can see in the rear of the picture Adam Delmont side by side with Jamie Dory. Delmont getting ahead, he's got Nick Clivens just ahead of him as well. It is the case, you've got battles left, right and centre in this pack as they roll through 6 and 7, and as they make the way up into turn 8, the one thing that we've got to keep in mind here, oh goodness me, William Chadwick tapping the inside and merging with Dean Fairclough's car, and as they get back under racing, well, it has gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, it has. Mikey Doble, I've got to take my hat off to Mikey Doble there. He stamped on the brakes as he saw more contact between Chadwick and Fairclough, and that actually has saved his race here. He's lost a few positions, he's lost momentum from McNealy, but he's still in this fight, he's still in this race. That could have well ended it. Somehow Chadwick and Fairclough are still going. Somehow Fairclough's still in second place here. It was a big contact between him and Chadwick. They morphed into each other almost. But still going somehow, and now this is a big battle for second place. It's stretching as far back to 9th place for these drivers. But Nick Clivens, what a night he has been having. Him and Pete Newman have both been phenomenal tonight in getting through the pack, keeping their noses clean, touch wood. But fantastic from Nick Clivens again tonight. He's back in the running for the top 3 as we head into turn 1 again. Big move to the inside from William Chadwick to get it past Nick Clivens. Clivens is not going to fight too much for it. He knows he's getting good points tonight out of the result he's had. He's going to want to keep that, maintain that, hold his fight for the top 5 in the championship, as he now has Mikey Doble on his inside as we head towards turn 4. Leah Mcnealy is checked out, 2.25 seconds clear of the this pack here for second place. Doble moves it back into 4th place. Now he can set his sights on Chadwick and Fairclough again. He'll start again. He did make progress on them on the previous lap, 1 lap ago, but it was hampered with them two battling too hard, too much. Oh, and Fairclough is already defending real intensely ahead of Chadwick. Through turn 6 they go, and Chadwick will take to the inside again for this next corner, and Fairclough swerving to the inside of the fence. It's real intense between all these drivers here, Paul.
Indeed, and Fairclough right now, I think, really focusing on just bringing home P2. I think he's decided I can't go after McNealy anymore. I'm going to keep one of the Fordzilla guys behind me, and he's doing everything he can, literally within the limit. And as they make their way through turn number 10 right now, you can see how the rest of the field is just tucking in behind him. And of course, we don't know what damage is on that Mazda of Fairclough when he had the contact with Chadwick, whether there's anything that's preventing him from getting the performance right now, but he is giving it his all to be able to hold on that position as it goes very wide there out of turn number 12. He brings the car back on, but this is where Chadwick is going to need that momentum as they make the way in the long run here. And of course, we ride on board. It's going to be Fairclough on the right hand side as they make the way up towards the timing line here. And what I think Fairclough has backed out, he's tucked in behind right now in the idea that, okay, if Chadwick's going to get ahead, he can be pushed along. Alternatively, he can go for the return move down to turn 1. They cross that timing line. 10 minutes remaining plus the final lap. And as they make the way down, Mikey Doble looks at a move here. It's the case. He goes up the inside of Fairclough. They both make their way on through, but Doble backs out in the end. I think sensibly here, he doesn't want to see the race fade away.
Yeah, absolutely. Mikey Doble saw Fairclough coming towards his front right quarter panel there, and he just thought, you know what, no, I don't fancy it. Stamping on the brakes again and getting himself out of trouble. That is what wins championships, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to know, watch Mikey Doble. He is keeping himself out of trouble and well and truly in the race here. He's not going to win the race. Leah Mcnealy is checked out, but he's picking up big points. That is what matters. That is what wins championships, and he's doing it so well time and time again. He's won 2 Legends Championships on the bounce here at NXTGEN, and he's on his way to a NXTGEN MX-5 Cup Championship if things go the way he plans. But these three battling, raging on. Nick Clivens has dropped back a little bit with battling with Adam Delmont and Jamie Dory. Adam Delmont is going to want higher positions. Oh, and there's contact between Clivens and Jamie Dory. Dory brushes off wide, and it lets through Craig Cockrell, but he's able to keep going, more importantly, in this race. and they still battle on. He's got the inside of Craig Cockrell. Cockrell knows he is not fighting these drivers for championship points. He's in the Pro-Am category, so he might be aware of that. He might be backing off for that reason, but he's also got John Burnham to worry about. Meanwhile, these three, Fairclough, Chadwick and Doble, head on to the main straight, the main stretch yet again, as Chadwick finds the inside of Fairclough coming out of the final corner here. He'll take to the inside, he'll hold the inside, and he'll take second place heading into turn 1, Paul.
Indeed, as they make their way to the end of another lap here. I mean, it's the case that each time we come around here towards turn 1, there's going to be another leader in this pack and another attempt to move into turn 1. Mikey Doble this time tucking in behind the two in front, and as they make their way down to the braking zone, Doble looks all the way out the inside here, but I think it's more to just get out the toe and gets a better break in as we see that contact between Fairclough and William Chadwick, and that hit on the rear end of William Chadwick's car, where it's the case that Chadwick a bit unsettled, and as they made the way, I think in the end, Fairclough, well, you can see Chadwick there had to stop the car in apex, and Fairclough pretty much coming on down and in the end tap in the rear. But as we return to those live pictures right now, McNealy disappearing 4 seconds up the road, but you just see this long train of drivers here, all the pro drivers from Fairclough back to Jamie Dory, and Cockrell and Burnham having to tuck in behind. Well, I think John Burnham's had another slight mistake. He's actually dropped a little bit further off, but right now we look backwards from Fairclough's car, and you can see here Chadwick trying to go around the outside. He's almost squeezing out there, Chadwick off the road, but it is the case in the end. There's enough space, and as they make their way through 6 and 7, Doble now looking for the move up at the inside of Chadwick into turn number 8. He goes all in on the brakes, and Chadwick gives him the space but gets the return into the left-hander in 9. As you can see, Adam Delmont now trying to find a way on through as well, and as they make their way, this is the battle for P3, as it's the case that Fairclough will be trying to break away with all this happening behind him, and as the fireworks kick off, you can see not too far back Clibbons and Dory as well. They'll want their piece of this as they make their way down through 11, rolling the car down for a left-hander, and Dean Fairclough being given a breather here. I don't think it's going to last forever, but he's getting given a brief respite here, and I think he really needs it as they make the way through turn at number 12, and you can see every driver here rolling the car as wide as possible out of turn 12. They want to get as much out of those track limits as they possibly can here, and it really is the case now with less than 7 minutes to go. The gloves are coming off, and everybody's throwing the kitchen sink everything they've got at it in order to be able to try and get the best possible result. But here we go again. This time it's Chadwick versus Fairclough as they make their way across the timeline. You can see Mikey Doble on the inside down the very right of your picture. Meanwhile, Adam Delmont watches from behind. Mikey Doble goes all the way in this time. He's decided he's had enough, and he goes for the double move, and he gets it as Adam Delmont also gets contact on the rear of Mikey Doble, and he backs out, knowing that he's going to be in that wall if he puts his foot in it, and he drops all the way down to P8. Well, my goodness.
Oh, you did so well to set up that move. Let's just see what happens on the inside here for turn 1. For turn 2 then. It's hard to tell. It's so hard to tell, but it bogs him down. It sends him to the back of this pack. He has still got, though, 5 minutes to go. He can get back into this battle. Oh, something's happened to Deegan Fairclough. Something's happened to him. His wheel has come loose. A puncture.
It's a puncture on his rear left-hand tyre by the looks of things, or Saints collapsed the rear left-hand car, but Deegan Fairclough in the end has just fallen out. Now, what exactly has happened? Making his way through turn number 3, and he's going a bit slowly here as he makes his way on out of the corner, but nothing so far, so it must have been further contact. Now, as they make their way down Repra, you can see it's a case that Adam Delmont coming through, Jamie Dory as well, and then Nick Clibbons in there. So coming into turn 4, and that's where the contact occurred, and you can see the suspension immediately collapses on the rear left-hand side from that contact, and I think in the end that Mazda's been through the wars, and it's finally decided to bring out the white flag. It's just not able to take any more of a punishment with regards to the contact, and well, that opens things up for everybody behind now.
Deegan Fairclough might have waved the white flag with his car there, but the white flag is certainly not out on this race. We've still got 4.5 minutes to go in this race. Leah Mcnealy has checked out, 5 seconds clear of all his rivals. It'll be another repeat of wins. 2 wins tonight, like he has done for many other races this season. But he's got his teammate behind. A 1-2 for Fordzilla is exactly what they'll want tonight. Let's see if they'll get it. Adam Delmont trying to get his championship back on track. Trying to score more points than Mikey Doble. He is scoring more points than Dean Fairclough tonight, and definitely Lee Holmes. But let's see how he gets on against Mikey Doble for the rest of tonight. Mikey Doble is going to try desperately to charge back. He did take second place for just a split second, but it was taken away from him very, very quickly. But let's see how he gets on for the remainder of this race. To the inside goes Jamie Dory. Can't quite get it fully to the inside of Adam Delmont, who gives him room as we head around turns 4 and 5. William Chadwick here, he'll like this. He'll like what he sees behind him in his mirrors. Keep battling, guys, because he'll stretch away.
Indeed, as they roll through 6 and 7 right now, and he continues to open that advantage. You can see it's already opened up to 6/10 of a second and makes his way into the braking zone for turn number 8. Well, Adam Delmont going very deep under braking there, really snatching at the brakes. And Mikey Doble sees this as a doorway in, but he's got to hesitate there because now Delmont really having to force the car to go through turn number 9. And Doble will find himself on the outside. He's been here before, and I think he knows to give the space as they make their way through. Jamie Dory, to be fair, one of the most respectful racers. And as they make their way through 10, it's the case that Doble has to tuck back in. 2 more laps after this one, and as they come down for 11 and into 12 this time around, you can see Nick Clibborn's not quite there anymore with regards to the pace. He's with them, but I don't think he's got enough to really put in the contest right now. I think he'll take a P6 and give himself a pat on the back. It's been a good drive, but he's just watching now, and I think waiting to see if the guys in front really get their elbows out, and that's where he can pick up the pieces, because he's been up there, he's been in it all, and now he's just got to wait as William Chadwick is breaking away to make it a Fordzilla 1-2, as you say, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. William Chadwick will like what he sees behind him, the battling from those drivers who've calmed down a little bit in the last few laps. But let's resume watching these three. We will have 2 laps to go as Mikey Doble, a big dive to the inside past Adam Delmont and Jamie Dory to take 3rd place. Delmont's going to try and fight back, but Doble is back onto the podium. 3rd place is in his grasp. And him and Adam Delmont are pretty much the main championship protagonists in the pro category, so they're going to be really fighting intensely on this final few laps here. Adam Delmont looking all ways to see which way he can go. Jamie Dory bunched up behind him, as is Nick Clibbons. Through turns 4 and 5 we go. Adam Delmont might be trying to pay it patiently, but see how he will get on. But Mikey Doble here will definitely want to be charging up towards Will Chadwick, if he can, that is. Chadwick has checked out here, a 2nd clear, but will he be reeled back in by Mikey Doble? We'll find out. Let's see if Adam Delmont thinks the same thing. If he stays behind Doble, they might be able to catch up. If he battles, they'll certainly drop off. That's what they've got to be wary of. But while we've got a little bit of a break time, Paul, who is your driver of the day tonight?
Oh, goodness me. I mean, I would love to have seen him take part in race number 3, but he's not here, I don't think, Pete Newman. So with his absence, I would have to give it to Nick Clibbons. Really, it's tied between Clibbons and Pete Newman all the way through. Both of them haven't had the opportunity to be right up there for some time, but they've seized on that opportunity. They've been enjoying the racing, and well, Nick Clibbons in the end takes it for me, just simply keeping himself out of trouble in what has been a very, very intense race number 3, and races 1 and 2 as well. Good performances all round for the SimTech Racing Gold driver.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Nick Clibbons, our driver of the day tonight, as voted for by Paul Walsh. So there we go. The undisputed award of driver of the day. But Leah Mcnealy will take his 2nd victory of the night, if he gets through this lap safe and sound, which, to be fair, he probably will do. It's been another dominant night for him, and if he had taken part in the whole championship, my word, how good would he have been, and how much would he be in the lead of the championship to this point? If it was scored to just the rounds he's done, he'd be in commanding lead of the championship. But it hasn't quite worked out with him not doing all rounds this season. Chadwick doing very well here. He's getting caught a little bit, Mikey Doble here, as we've seen another battle between Delmont and Jamie Dory. But Mikey Doble is heading this battle for the final step of the podium. 3rd place here held by him. Jamie Dory is just about hung on to the inside as we head up to turn 6 here. To the inside he goes. Jamie Dory will take 4th place. Brilliant, brilliant move there from Jamie Dory, setting it up from a few corners back. Delmont's going to try the undercut coming into turn 7 here, and he does get the inside, but Dory gets the inside for the next corner, which is definitely the more advantageous line in these cars. Round we come towards the hairpin. Jamie Dory's got to go on the defensive to not let Delmont go up his inside. He half defends it, but he does well to hang on to it. Chadwick has gone very slow on this infield. Doble has caught him. It's been a brilliant catch-up from Doble here, and 2nd place is on for Mikey Doble here. Into the final corner we go. Doble, a bit of a nudge on the rear of Chadwick as we head up the hill. It might not be enough for Mikey Doble. We'll see if he can get it. Mcnealy charges his way to the line to finish off this race. Mikey Doble, he'll have to try one side of the car of Chadwick ahead. Mcnealy will come through to win the 2nd race of Sorry, his second race and second win of the night. But to the line, it's Chadwick versus Mikey Doble, and to the line they go. I think Chadwick gets it just ahead, and Delmont takes fourth just ahead of Jamie Dory. Brilliant finish to that race from the drivers. We'll get another look at that finish from these drivers, but fantastic racing indeed to finish off the night. Here is a replay of the finish, watching Chadwick and Doble as they head towards the line. Let's see how close it was between these two. Brilliant battling, and we can see there Jamie Dory as well getting involved with Adam Delmont. Very close between all those drivers, but it was Chadwick who takes second from Doble, and it was Delmont who takes fourth from Jamie Dory. Brilliant finish to that race, Paul.
Indeed, and you may want to wind back quickly if we can to see the battle for the AM win in the end between David Whitehouse and Paul Scott. I think they had a photo finish across the line, unless I'm very much mistaken. And well, here was David Whitehouse. I think he was caught up behind John Higgins, and then just watch this with Paul Scott. It's a huge run out of Drinkhout all the way up through the hill. And well, these two have been coming together. To be fair, David Whitehouse has been ahead for quite some time, but I think he's been squabbling with John Higgins, and Paul Scott has gradually caught up to him. And well, if my prediction is correct, it's going to be a case they're going to be side by side across that line. You see John Higgins holding there, and in the end pulling across, and then Paul Scott having to come out. And as they made the way across, oh goodness me, Whitehouse just missing the ball. Well, that was not the way I expected it was going to go. I didn't know it was going to be contact, but I think Paul Scott would have just nipped him across the line if it weren't for that contact. But that is one the stewards going to have to decrypt quite heavily.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's certainly one they're going to look at after. But you can see what David Whitehouse was trying to do. He's thinking, oh, no, I'm going to lose the first place here. And he tries to get it out of the slipstream and past Higgins. But he was too close to make that decision. Too close, too late. But yeah, thrilling races. All three races have been very exciting indeed. We had the dramatic race 1, the slightly more tame race 2, but brilliant 25-minute long battling for race 3 here. And we'll cap off the results here just before we head into the post-race interviews. It was Leah Mcnealy who wins the race, a second win of the night for him. 4 seconds clear of William Chadwick, who was just a 100th exactly ahead of Mikey Doble coming across the line for that final race. A brilliant night for Mikey Doble, solidifying his championship lead just ahead of his rival who finished 4th in that race, Adam Delmont. 5th place to Jamie Dory from Nick Clibberton 6th, Craig Cockrell in 7th with John Burnham in 8th. Double J, John Higgins in 9th position from David Whitehouse, and Paul Scott in 11th place. Lee Horne a little bit under the weather tonight, but gets 12th place and 3rd in category. Matthew Addy in 13th from Matt Emmons in 14th, Nigel Stock in 15th, 16th going to Deegan Fairclough, non-finisher in the end, as was Maurice Henry, John Higgins, Rob McGregor and Sam Smith. Well, we will have some interviews very shortly. But, Paul, what a race we just witnessed. Again, another big finish. And a little bit like Daytona a couple of rounds ago, where we had close finishes to the line. Interlagos does always bring dramatic but exciting racing.
Oh, indeed. We didn't quite have an is that Glock moment, but to be fair, we don't have wet weather in iRaces. We can't quite simulate it. But as you say, Alex, I mean, all the way through and through, this final race had it all. It started off relatively sedate, although some elbows did pop out early on. And then, well, from about the midpoint onwards, or about 13 minutes in, it was the case that the racing kicked off in quite dramatic style. And in the end, we did unfortunately see the retirement of one of the big contenders, Deegan Fairclough. But at the same time, with everything that did happen, it was the case that then Leah Mcnealy was allowed to run away with things, and then we had a 7-way fight for P2, which saw William Chadwick creep off into the distance. Oh, Mikey Doble just trying to come back at the end, but I don't think it was enough. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned there wasn't an is that Glock moment tonight, but we did have an is that Fairclough moment tonight. Plenty of them. But jokes aside, we have got some interviews waiting for us. And I think, first of all, Paul, seeing as he's just crashed right ahead of us on the replay here, let's have a chat with Adam Delmont, shall we?
Let's bring him on in.
So we have got Adam Delmont in the interview comms box with us tonight. Adam, quite an impressive night for you. It nearly went pear-shaped on the first lap of race 3 there, but you recovered to have a very good finish in the end there. 4th place, just behind Mikey Doble.
Yeah, it's been a bit emotional tonight. I think to be honest, I can't grumble because I've not felt very strong round here tonight for some reason. Right through practice, I felt a little bit off my normal pace. So you know, a podium and a fourth. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, they're still pretty decent results considering you think you were out of tune tonight. But let's cast our mind back to race 1. It all unfolded ahead of you, and you managed to come through to finish second place. A brilliant result for you in the championship, certainly. But from what you saw ahead of you, just talk us through everything that was sort of going through your mind.
To be honest, Alex, I caught the back of them and I thought, right, you know, I could see there was a big pack of cars and I could just see it getting a little bit rougher every lap that passed. I tried to nibble a little bit at the back and work my way in, but, you know, you're always cautious that it's going to kick off in front of you. And do you push into that and take a risk? Or do you just back off and either, you know, settle for where you are or at least maybe sneak a position or two or hope that something happens? And yeah, that last, I think, was it 2 laps? And cars were just falling off, you know, and thankfully I did hang back a little bit, you know, out of caution. And yeah, it paid off. Normally, you know me, I don't normally air to caution, it's normally full send, but yeah, there were too many cars for full send.
Well, I think holding back on the full send certainly calls for it. You're in a very prime position to go for the championship, particularly with the performances you've had tonight. 2 very tricky tracks coming up next, Adam. Long Beach Street Circuit, which rather unheard of for these MX-5s, and we've got the Nordschleife coming up later on in 2 weeks' time. You're in a big opportunity for the championship here. So how does your mindset change for these final 2 rounds, or does it change at all?
It is going to change because I've got to admit I didn't actually expect to be in this much of a close battle for first, to be honest. I know Mikey is ahead once drop score comes in as well, but there is obviously the last round with double points. I don't own Long Beach yet, so I'm going to have to buy that this week, and I think it's just I'm going to really make the effort to put some laps in, get some practice so that I'm 100% comfortable, unlike I was tonight, and hopefully I can show my pace and you know, fight at the front. And I think Nürburgring will be survival. I think I'll probably err to caution again on Nürburgring, maybe just hold back a little bit. It's a long race, it's a lethal track. I'll just see how that plays out. But you know me, if there's something to go for, I will go for that position.
Good to know. Good to know. Just before we shoot off, Adam, anybody want to give a shout out to on the broadcast here? Sponsors, fans, friends, family, etc.
Yeah. Firstly, obviously Jamie and the admin that run the series. If it wasn't for them, none of us would be here. You guys for the fantastic broadcasts you do. I do love watching them back after.
Oh, thank you.
Team Excite, you know, the lads. As much as I'm on my own tonight, I'm flying solo tonight. And yeah, just, you know, usual friends, family, sponsors. Thank you very much.
Excellent stuff. Well, Adam, great performance tonight. We'll see you next time at Long Beach.
Thanks, guys.
So there we go. That was Adam Delmont. And seeing as we were talking about the championship, Paul, how about you yourself have a little chat with Mikey Doble? We usually have a chat with Mikey, but I'm going to leave this one down to you. Mikey, excellent performances tonight, big comebacks through the field. Talk us through the majority of the night.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good fun track. I enjoyed racing here tonight. I think it suited the cars quite well, some very nice flowing corners, a lot of side-by-side racing. For the most part, it was clean. Yeah, it's a good night. It's damage limitation on the championship, moving into the last couple of rounds.
Oh, indeed, Mikey, and particularly in races 2 and 3, of course. Race 1 didn't quite work out perhaps the way you wanted it, but races 2 and 3, it seemed after the brawl that really occurred at the front of the field in race 1, we saw the complexion from your perspective. Indeed, a number of drivers change, and particularly yourself driving very smart, and race 3 in particular. I mean, there was that very near-miss moment coming through the centre. So just take us through that, where you went for the first attempt at trying to make the double move from P4 to P2, and it was just a tiny bit of contact between yourself and Dean Fairclough in the end, and well, you caught the car phenomenally well. It dropped you all the way down to P8, but you caught it and you were right back up there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting to make a clean pass on Deegan, but considering some of the other passes we've had in the past, but I was nearly there, just got tagged at the very end. So I guess it's the risk you take trying to race him that early. So, but after that, I tried to get my head down and make the moves to come back through the field and beat Adam. Really is my main priority in these races, because he's my closest championship protagonist. So if I can beat him in every race, then at least I'm increasing the lead in the championship.
Oh, indeed, and that approach, of course, carrying you forward and carrying the points from round to round. And when it was the case as the race got closer towards the end, particularly race number 3, there we saw Chadwick struggling at the end with a bit of a slowdown, and you having the shot for that potential P2 on the run to the finish line. Were you sort of rocking forward in the seat thinking, come on, let's just snatch that P2?
Yeah, I knew exactly what had happened. I saw him bite a little bit too much of that curb off on the inside and inevitably got a slowdown, and luckily for him it came at a place where there was plenty of corners after that where he could slow down in the right places and park it on the apex. So really I had nowhere to go, but I would have done the same thing. It's just part of the tactics you have to put up with on iRacing. Slowdown penalties is all part of it, and I thought I'd done him at the line. It must have been a fag paper's width between us, but no, it was another good race. I've had a couple of good races of Will so far this season, so let's hope for some more good action next time.
Oh, indeed. And looking at the complexion of the championship for yourself, of course, picking up another good point score today here at Interlagos. 2 rounds left. We head to Long Beach in a week's time, the United States, and then we head to, well, the Nürburgring for, well, it's the 2-hour endurance. How are you feeling for the rest of the championship now, knowing really it's yours, it's in your hands, your destiny?
I've got to start learning some tracks, because I've never turned a lap around Long Beach, and I've never turned a lap around the Nordschleife, so I've got some work to do in the next couple of weeks if I want to keep my championship lead, that's for sure. But I'm sure Long Beach will be able to learn that. It's not a particularly long track, unlike the next week, but I'm not sure anyone really knows the Nordschleife, so we'll just follow the leader really around there.
Oh, very much indeed. But before we let you go to start looking to the weeks ahead, is there anybody you'd like to say thank you to on a live broadcast today with regards to sponsors, family, friends?
Yeah, to all my family watching in the house downstairs, and grandparents that are watching from the comfort of their settee at home, hopefully with a nice coffee in hand. And thanks to you guys again for another great broadcast.
Oh, well, we do appreciate it, and I'm sure all your family and friends do appreciate it as well. But thank you once again for joining us in the interview room, Mikey. Another fantastic set of races from yourself, and we look forward to seeing you take to the streets of Long Beach.
Cheers, guys.
All the best. Well, Alex, seems as though he's had quite a night, Mikey Doble, but he still finds a way to turn around even the most chaotic of races into good point scores, no?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what he's been doing for many, many seasons here at NXTGEN. He's done it in 2 consecutive Legend Series. He's done it here in the MX-5s. I don't know if it's getting a little bit frustrating for him because he's not picking up as many wins as before, but he said it. He's battling with Adam Delmont in the championship, and I think he will be fighting Deegan Fairclough in the championship with drop rounds to consider as well. But he's doing everything he needs to at the moment. He's just getting points in every single race. We've said it many, many times about him on this broadcast and previous ones, but that's what wins championships. And if he does it again, it's so reminiscent of Andy Prio that he should change his name.
Oh, indeed. It is the case that right now I think he's pacing this championship out to the end. I think for him, as you're saying, that the fact he's got 2 circuits to learn, I think he will learn them to be competitive, but not learn them to necessarily win. And now I should say, ladies and gentlemen, for you watching, it's not as I'm poo-pooing his opportunities to take a win, but it's the case he'll learn them to feel comfortable, and he won't want to push too hard, because what we saw tonight, when he does push Mikey Doble, he can make some very brave overtakes. And after that tiny tap off of Deegan Fairclough, he went for a double move again into the same corner only 3 laps later and pulled it off. Absolutely.
Now, just to allude on your point about Long Beach, for me it's quite a popular circuit because I race there in IndyCars quite a lot, and I've raced there in touring cars as well, which is an odd combination. But a lot of these drivers don't have Long Beach, and they've never raced there. It's not a completely conventional track. So next week's going to be really, really interesting, seeing a lot of drivers on a track they haven't raced on before. It's not just about learning the track, but also they need to learn where the points of overtake are, because you see the main overtaking points for tracks like this and Zandvoort and Daytona, but Long Beach, they haven't really. Well, they're probably going to have to go back and watch the Grand Prix of Long Beach for IndyCar. Quite a few tips on overtaking there, because it is difficult. It's up there with Macau and Monaco as the street circuits that are most difficult to overtake on. So next week's going to be really interesting.
Oh, indeed. And I think in terms of hearing the faults of starting, it'd be great to have the newcomer John Higgins jump into our comms box for the purpose of an interview, because it'd be interesting to hear what his thoughts were on his debut and what he thinks about Long Beach. Perhaps it's the case that's his secret weapon. He'll be able to, well, he might have the flair for Long Beach already. You never know. Absolutely.
Well, let's bring in John Higgins on his debut today. John,
hello.
Quite a few good results tonight, including 9th place in that final race. Just talk us through how that night went for you.
It was all right. You know, sim racing's brand new to me. I've only had my sim rig sort of 2 weeks. Didn't even know I was getting into this tonight until about 6:20 when Robin Jr. sort of messaged me and said, "Do you want to race?" And it was like, "Yeah, game on, let's do it." So, but it's so different, you know, from racing real life. I was just speaking to Mikey Doble and Will in the chat room there, just trying to get the sim and the pedals and everything dialed in to suit me. It was going to take a bit of time, but yeah, I'm happy. Little rookie error in the second race when I out at the first corner on cold tyres. Should know better, because I tell Junior off for doing exactly the same thing. But yeah, to get 9th place in the final, yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, that's very impressive considering you're very new to the sim, so congratulations indeed. And you're definitely in good hands, getting a few hints and tips from Chadwick and Doble. Definitely, I might have to put you back in that chat room very quickly for more tips. I might have to join you as well. But yeah, obviously we haven't seen much of a background from you in this championship so far. We've seen Junior have a good crack of the whip in these races, certainly. But we've got 2 rounds left in the championship here. And granted, for yourself, not the easiest tracks in the world. So what's your plan of attack going forward in the next 2 races, Long Beach and the Nordschleife?
Do a bit of practice. To be fair, I was on with Junior and Rob on Interlagos last night, sort of 45 minutes, just having a run around with those guys, not thinking I was going to race. It was just to get a better track. So yeah, we'll get the track downloaded. Is it Long Beach or something, I think, the next one?
Yeah, yep. Long Beach Street Circuit,
yeah. So we'll get that downloaded and have a run around there and see how we get on. But listen, I'm just here for better fun and just I'm learning. You know, I've spent 25 years of my life racing real life motorsport, so this is all brand new to me, and it's going to take some time. And I'm 52 now, so it takes a bit longer.
No, it doesn't. No, we enjoyed watching you race tonight. But before you shoot off, John, anyone you want to give a shout out to? Any sponsors, fans, friends, family?
Just all the guys from HSR, obviously Junior and Rob, Aidan, my partner Gemma, who's downstairs watching. Thanks, honey. I know you've not seen a great deal of it tonight, but
sim racers' wives. Yeah, they know it too well, don't they?
Sim racing widow. So good to speak to you guys.
Yeah, excellent stuff, John. We'll see you next time at Long Beach. Thank you very much for entertaining us tonight.
No worries. Take it easy.
All the best.
Oh, there we go. Lovely guy. And now we've got names for them: Senior and Junior. There we go.
Oh, indeed, we can finally differentiate between the 2 of them. But to be fair, great performance on his debut, and just hearing it there, you could hear it in his voice, enjoying the racing, but at the same time as well, not being awestruck by the occasion.
Yeah, absolutely. He admitted some mistakes in race 2, but as he said, he's just trying to keep it fun, just trying to get stuck in and get involved in the action, which you know, to get 9th place in that final race there is some going for someone really inexperienced on sim racing. Real life racing, certainly that'll help you out in situations like that. But real impressive from John tonight, absolutely. We've got one more interview then, Paul.
I think we have. I think it's only appropriate that we bring Will Chadwick. He's currently sat in the interview rating room, and here he is. A good evening to you, Will.
Hello. How you guys doing?
Oh, we can't complain, Will, but less about us, more about you. A very intense night through all three races. Race number 1, of course, ending in a very dramatic fashion, and races 2 and 3 were up in the ante, then some, and race 3 in particular, yourself and Doble taking it to the finish line. How do you feel your evening's been?
And it's been all right. You know, the whole aim here is really to help Liam a little bit with the maybe championship assault. Not sure if it's quite possible, but just try and race as clean as possible, try and get some results on the board, and just really have fun at the end of the day.
Well, indeed, it does look as though the two of you have got a brilliant rapport as teammates. I mean, we always see in qualifying the two of you for Team Fortilla running around together and working together very hard. And well, both of you locking out the front row for race number 1 in qualifying, a good qualifying session. Just take us through that, because there were multiple points where I think you two were trying to stay nose to tail, and then we had the whole lollygag, or cars, if you will, everybody trying to filter in to get all the slipstream.
Yeah, it's really important to get a run through, like on quali, like as clean run as you can in the tow, because as I said previously at the start of this race, that this track's basically just a glorified oval. It's just hard. It's pretty much flat out the entire time. So the tow is crucial for pole position. Like the time that you saw from Liam in quali was purely on tow. It's like you wouldn't be able to do that in clean air. You're talking maybe like an 0.8 of a second gain by a perfect tow. And it's just about lining up as best as you can, just making sure the gaps between the cars are big enough so that when you closed up, you're not getting slowed up in the middle of the pack or anything.
Oh, indeed. That overall sort of oscillation of the two cars coming together, and as you say, not catching up too close through the middle sector. But then translating into the races, race number 1, we did see quite a few elbows pop out and whatnot. Things seemed to, quite a bit of red mist descended over the field. But then races 2 and 3, particularly yourself, took a bit of a different approach. Was it the case that after race 1, you sort of, you know what, I'm not going to be winning races if we end up in more incidents like this. We've got to look at it a different way. Because race 2, a lot of patience shown by yourself.
I think that the main factor going into race 2 is the fact that race 1 was so chaotic and so hard to race in general with the pack and just getting, like, you have loads of cars, so if you have one push wide, you've got 2-3 cars coming through. So as soon as we saw the gap like kind of opening up to 7th place, we were just, I just said to Liam, like, let's just push forward and not attack and just focus on not fighting and only making the moves within the last few laps of the race, so that we effectively solidify positions a little bit better. So if you were to even have an incident on that final lap, be pushed wide, have a small spin, whatever might happen, you're not going to lose as much as you would if the pack was all together nose to tail, which you can definitely get round here with the power of the tow.
Oh, indeed. And translating that into race number 3, a brilliant showdown. And of course, your teammate Leah Mcnealy running away with the proceedings when the battling really kicked off. But brilliant driving from yourself in the end to finish what we believe was P2 classified on the line. And Mikey Doble just missing out by a hair's width. But it seemed to all just go almost all wrong on that final lap with a slowdown.
Yeah, nearly messed it up with a slowdown at the end. Because it was funny, because I said to Liam, I said, we'll be fine here, you know, as long as I don't mess up this infield. And then about 5 seconds later, get a slowdown. It was hard, because you just have to defend and take the time off the slowdown, so you're not obviously getting a penalty. And then it was just a case of making sure that Mikey couldn't get the cutback, and then just trying to break the toe as much as possible and just edge him out. But at the end of the day, it was a really close race, and you know, Mikey's always racing fair, like most of them out there. So it's a good bit of fun.
Oh, indeed, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Rivalries on track, but fun at the end of it. And well, will it be? We've got to ask you. 2 rounds to go. We go to Long Beach next week. A very tight circuit. Very wall enclosed. Will it be fun for yourself? Is it a track you like, or have you got to learn it? Unlike a number of drivers here.
With Long Beach, it's going to be a lot. I think the field spread will be slightly higher. There's a few straights that you're going to have chance to get the benefit from the tow, but the precision that you'll need throughout the certain sections of the track, like sector 1 and sector 3, you're going to need to be absolutely on it, millimeters from the wall, and making sure you don't make any mistakes whatsoever, and placing the car as best as you can. So we'll definitely see a larger field spread and probably a few more gaps, so that the opportunity to get away, unlike here at Interlagos today.
Oh, well, we look forward to seeing how yourself and your teammate get on at Long Beach in a week's time. But until then, one last question to you. Have you got anybody you'd like to say thank you to on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, thank you to my teammate Liam. Thank you to Next Level Racing for sponsoring the team, and also thank you to Team Fordzilla for all the support for these races. Thank you very much, guys. Great coverage.
No, that's no problem at all. It's our honour indeed. I think everyone you gave a shout out to, they'll be very grateful for the shout out. But with that, we shall leave you to it, and we look forward to seeing you in a week's time. Thank you for joining us in the interview room.
Thank you very much.
Well, it sounds as though we're very happy with the performances in the end. And what was interesting there, Alex, is the fact that after race number 1, the whole perspective of what Will and Liam were looking to achieve through the race and how they played the race, they completely looked at it from a different light. And boy, it meant they gained massively.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes with a race like race 1, you can't really foresight that it's going to happen. And then it really does make you look in the mirror and think, all right, we got to have a different plan of approach here, and that's exactly what the Fordzilla guys did. You know, when you've got a teammate, when you've got teams working together like that, like there's the Excite drivers, there's the 88 Tech drivers, there's the NXTGEN drivers, Fordzilla as well. That really does help in series like this, where you're so dependent on draft as well, but also you can share ideas and tactics like that. That really did benefit the Fordzilla drivers, definitely in that third race there. So a brilliant tag team of them two drivers there. It certainly did help McNealy get his 2 victories tonight. But I think, Paul, that's all we have got time for tonight. What a night's racing we've had. 2 wins from Leah Mcnealy and a breakthrough win for Maurice Henry in race 1. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in tonight on YouTube, on Twitch, Crest Autosport TV, or on Facebook via NextGen Racing TV. This has been the NextGen Racing MX-5 Cup. Your commentators tonight, myself, Alex Everett, and Paul Walsh. We'll see you in 1 week's time at Long Beach. Tune in on these channels, same time next week. We'll see you then. Goodbye.